And lift off here on Racing Post Live on a Friday. What a treat for you out there. It is here, people. Talked about, isn't it, basically since September to the middle of November. Everyone wants the open meeting at Cheltenham. Countryside Day today. 4 races coming your way. Raucous reaction, the best in the business. Anti-post analysis. We've got loads of time in between the races. Myself, Dave Orton, joined by an array of talent. It's all in the studio today as well. If you're new to the show, there's the market. That's the real market, the exchange. It's going to be hotting up today. We start off at 1:45 with a 2-mile handicap chase. You can have a shout out, of course. Thumbs up, like and subscribe to get involved. If you're watching on Facebook Live, you can do that there as well. Hello, numbers on Facebook recently, really pleasing. And anything on Twitter. Watch out for those clips. Hashtag RP Live. Right then. All right, in association with Betfair, but not Barry Orr. He is in Prestbury Park. We'll go down and you'll see who he's been brave enough to let rep him for 3 days this weekend. We're about to find out. I'm thrilled to say everyone's favourite is back. Bruce Millington, you were wondering who I was going to there. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. You just reminded me, we did this meeting last year, didn't we?
We did. It was rather dramatic. It's one of those days, isn't it, when you do a show like this and you think to yourself, you think, I don't know, 4 races, going to be a lot of filling time, but we had some dramatic heats.
Really? Well, I mean, obviously the chase was crazy, wasn't it? Only 2 runners, and it turned into one of the most dramatic races of the whole year. So, yeah. Don't know if we'll get that today. They're difficult today. They're really wide open.
When I came in this morning, and you were an eager beaver like me this morning, you were in first thing, and you said it's easy today. Have you taught yourself out of a few?
I was just messing around.
Living rent-free.
You cannot look at 4 races like this where you kind of 3-2 on the field and say it's easy. I do fancy a couple, but yeah, it's
very
tough.
well-established meeting, this, isn't it? And
but not always run on ground this fast.
No, exactly. Yeah, so upgraded to good all round. We give you the race times. We've already had one down. Went to Ireland, surprise, surprise. Let's see who else is on the panel then before we delve into what we've got coming up for you. Danny Archer comes back. Oh, how's the radar? Have we been on target?
Not bad, Dave. Yeah, all good. Good to be back though with some jump racing. Haven't done a jump race yet.
Never worked with Bruce before.
Never worked with Bruce.
A lot of people saying it could be a father and son combo here. I don't know. It's like lookalikes going on. I heard that in the studio.
Sadly, I'm probably too old to be his dad.
I was pointing at Danny Archer rather than James Millman, by the way, who completes the quartet. You're going to be with us all 3 days.
I am. You are very lucky, Dave, to have my presence for 3 days. Yes, Betfair Barry is at Prestbury Park, so I am Betfair Barry for the duration.
Not the first time you've done this rodeo, is it?
No, you've had a few goes. First go over the jumps, which I'm looking forward to. Cheltenham always a great place to be. A tricky first day, though, I think.
You were at Taunton yesterday, weren't you, I saw?
At my local. Slippy it was at Taunton.
Is this nosebleed territory for you up here, then, like a whole weekend?
Yeah, in London it is, yeah, big city. Oh. Big city up here.
I hope they're looking after you, Betfair.
Yeah, no, all good, all happy. Hopefully we can add to the charity coffers today.
Yes, it's the month of Movember. I don't know, has anyone seen Barry on TV? He's sort of gone with a beard. Does his own thing, Barry. It's supposed to be a tash, isn't it, I think, isn't it? But he's gone the full beard, he always sets trends. But one thing, he has been absolutely flying in the winners, left, right and centre. And Mark Orowski, who comes on as well, deputises for him, he knocks them in big prices, so slight pressure
Pressure's on. It is.
Have you got a multiple for us?
And I've gone for a patent because that final novice hurdle, I think, is an absolutely tricky one. William Mullins' horse has been well backed at Briscoe, but looking at him, it's one that you might want to oppose. So I've left that one out. I've gone for horses that might want a little bit of give in the ground. First race could be a little bit of a negative. I think it's drawn up to good today, but I've gone for Hassan Key at 12-1 in our opener.
Right.
The horse is very consistent, 6th at the festival. I think he's probably overpriced because jockey trainer a little bit unknown on the big stage. Lewis Dobb. Lewis Dobb always rides his horse. Ridden him for the last 2 seasons, claiming the Southern. So I thought he was overpriced. Unanswered Prayers is my nap of the day in the novices handicap chase for Chris Gordon. He was one of, I think, about 16, 17 horses taken out in Newbury when I was there last week. I really fancied him on that occasion. Going to Cheltenham instead, I thought he was a good novice hurdler. He should be better at fences. He's 9-4. He's kind of my main anchor leg of the patent. And then I've gone for Old Elegant Escape in the Veterans race, which obviously is a new race because the cross country is off due to the firm ground.
Is that an emotional, sentimental tip, or is that
He's the class angle in a Veterans race where lots of them will they have before. And Ballyandy, the favourite, has had 3 goes over fences at Cheltenham, 3 pulled up. I think he's never really got involved. I've always liked Caldarico, but he looked a bit of a shadow to former self last year. Native Robbins 12. it's a tricky veterans race. It's probably not as classy a contest as what you'd normally see on the Cheltenham Friday. So he is the class angle. If he can keep up in the first half of the race, I thought he'd stay on. So he's 8-1. I'll put a £2.50 each way, and that will pay out, if they all happen to come in, about £1,400. So that's the multiple for this afternoon.
4 races. Safe gambling, of course, is our MO here on the show. Racing Post down Betfair. If you're thinking, a little bit tricky, maybe follow James in then. You can have a small outlay, but hopefully a nice return. There you go. Lovely little graphic on the screen there. Hassan Key, Lewis Dobb. Unanswered Prayers, who's popular, I can tell you that. And Elegant Escape, who looks like a silly price to me. I think it was about half of that when the market opened up yesterday. Right, great stuff. We're at about 10 minutes away from the first. Get your tips in, everyone. This is your chance to have a shout out. We're going to be talking about Cheltenham memories. It's unashamedly Cheltenham chat finally this weekend, isn't it? You know, whenever I do these shows and we do like a Warwick or a Haydock or something like, it's all about Cheltenham with you guys. This is, no tomatoes at the screen now. Everything's Cheltenham this weekend.
Yeah, and do you mean as in people say it's Cheltenham in March that everyone...
Exactly that, yeah, that's what I mean. The festival, I should have said.
There's nothing more boring than the debate about whether there's too much Cheltenham festival chat. These people go, there's too much Cheltenham festival chat. They spend more time criticising people for talking about Cheltenham than we do talking about Cheltenham.
Whenever you do a jumps preview, for example, what are you supposed to do? Preview the long walk that might have 3 runners in it, and you're trying to work out who will get there. It's very difficult. And what we all have to agree with now, Arch, isn't it? All these high-profile horses that we're seeing this weekend, great cards in Ireland, we'll talk about that as well, by the way. Bob Ollinger is back. They've all working back from one date, aren't they?
Sadly, they are. You know, Aintree W Racing Festival aren't the be-all and end-all. The one place everyone wants to be are those 4 days in March. I do think they've made the right decision, though, keeping it at 4. I think you're diluting the quality too much with 5. At least they've done something there, which is an important step, I think.
First mention of that this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the right thing, isn't it?
I wouldn't have minded 5 if there was a really strong financial case. So if they come out and said 5, 6 race cards, but we're going to make this much extra money and this will help us to fund prize money and it will go back into sport, I think you could have defended it then just about. I think with the diluting thing, Danny, you'd only actually have been putting another couple of races on, wouldn't you? One of which you was getting the heave-ho anyway. So my big issue with Cheltenham is that there should be a Saturday. Should finish on the Saturday.
Nicky Henderson's been the vocal one for that, hasn't he?
Well, I mean,
from a financial point of view as well. He said we can't afford not to, I believe was the line.
I'm not sure it would actually help that much, because if you went in that sense, because if you went Wednesday to Saturday, Tuesday and Wednesday are so busy now, aren't they? You used to get 30,000 on the Tuesday, you get 68,000 on the Tuesday. So you probably wouldn't get that many more, but the point is you're opening it up to a load of people who work Monday to Friday, school teachers, you name it, and they can't get down to Cheltenham. So you'd be allowing more people to go. So keep it at 4, that's absolutely fine, probably the right thing to do, but go Wednesday to Saturday. That would be my preference.
We were talking, weren't we, James, before we move on to the first. They're in the paddock, by the way. This meeting has changed a lot, hasn't it? The Paddy Power Gold Cup, of course, the feature race tomorrow. It's a long time since we saw a Ryanair type horse in that.
Yeah, we were talking about Imperial Commander.
All the good horses used to run at this meeting. Zertiep on the Novice Chase.
Long run. I remember him going for the Paddy Power for his second season, and then he went on to be
Imperial Commander.
So good. Yeah, you mentioned Zertiep. We saw him in action. It lacks that absolute class quality, I think. I think it's more your handicap prospects going forward for the festival we're going to be seeing rather than the open races. A Slur probably the only one where you're going to see Nubenegger.
That's a good shout. He's probably right there, isn't he? The Slur is one where you might see actual Cheltenham Festival winner. It's a long time since Rhinestone Cowboy won the bumper and followed up. It's a long time since Rooster Booster won the Greatwood and followed up. Would he be the last horse to do that? That's the Sunday showpiece, of course. Yeah,
there's no real champion hurdle prospects in the Greatwood. It's more of a...
Isn't it more the case, though, James, now that the Connections don't even... Connections are top-class championship hopefuls, don't even consider handicaps anymore, do they? I mean, you're probably going to hit me with that 8 exceptions now, but...
I think Gig and Stan are the ones where they really don't like handicaps. They don't care about them. I think the big owners, sometimes they just want a winner at Cheltenham, and the British trainers in particular, the handicaps are probably their best option.
We can talk about this in between the races and get involved. This is your chance to have your shout out. Keels did a great piece in the week. Did you read it? After Frodon, of course. I think it was on his weekly email. It was in his weekender column. And he crunched the numbers as much as he did. How many horses have run with that mark, you know, in handicaps over a certain age, all that sort of thing, and then gone on. And I think of all the 90 horses that have done it, Nichols trained over half of them.
I bet he did, yeah.
And Gordon Elliott hardly any.
Yeah.
And when you think about Gigginstown used to have these top weights keeping them all out and all that sort of stuff, it's not an MO they use at all, so you're quite right.
But, you know, you think back to a great moment like Denman's both them and Hennessy.
That's a race
they
you
were
remember.
fantastic, weren't
We
they?
screamed for it last year,
Brilliant.
didn't we? I think a lot, hopefully we're not going to see too many small fields. We're kind of getting used to it now, aren't we? Thankfully, we've got the dead 8 going in this first race then, James. The Glancing Queen, everyone's favourite mare. She's coming back, first time out. She's been sort of up and down in the market. This market's almost screaming, isn't it, for one to go clear?
Nothing really is. The best backed horse of the day is Fugitive. He's now Southern on the Exchange. He was around about 16s, 20s when betting first opened on the sportsbook. He's been really strongly backed, despite some slightly negative race and post comments from the trainer, who thinks he might want a little bit further and a bit softer ground. But
Price-wise horse, isn't he?
yeah, he's just been strongly backed. I think that's more the weakness against everything else. The Glancing Queen is just our favourite 4.9, but she is weak. Won the mare's handicap when last seen at the track. Amarillo Sky for the Tizzards, 5.2, 6.2 Grey Diamond, who has been solid. Mayalistic, the Northern Horse, 8.6, 13.5. Captain Tom and Hisanki, who I'm going to put up for 13.5. I'm going to put £10 win on Laura Morgan's runner, as discussed earlier. Consistent, improving, ran well in second at the air. Would want softer ground is my main concern with this horse, but I thought it was a really open race with nothing standing out particularly in the market. Fugitive is just the only horse that's really been backed strongly.
Well, there you are, James's tip, and one of our regulars opens up the weekend. Andy Sim, welcome back. Tough race, 145, so I'm each way on Hassankey. Thankfully, we can. Have you noticed that lots of books have started paying 3 places on 7 runner races now, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is 8, but
I know,
yeah,
but
yeah, later on.
That's what I mean. There must be. I think a lot of the firms now do that.
They do, yeah, and it's really good. I mean, obviously they won't do it if there's a short favourite because they're just betting so over broke. But if you've got a race like the 330 where it's reasonably open, they'll go 5th of 3.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you look at the Paddy Power tomorrow. I think there's 16 declared and 1's come out. In the olden days, you'd have been going, oh no, it means there's only 3 each way. Now, I bet you'll get 6 places tomorrow.
That's editor Jeet, isn't it? Of course, is not in the Schlur either. We don't see him. Yeah, look, let us know what you make of the racing this weekend. Let's stick on this on the Hassankey and Laura Morgan, who's really made a name for herself. Lewis Dobb, I've got a feeling he's under Postie's tutelage, you know. Charlie Post, I think that's one of his young lads. He speaks very highly of him. Bruce, what did you like?
I've gone for the Glancing Queen. I just think she's, she bounced back from that run in the plate, which wasn't too bad, with a really zesty win last spring. I just like her. I think she's consistent. I think she's fine on the ground. There's a lot that potentially won't be any good on this. And I think the danger, so she's the top one. I think the danger is the next one down, Mayalistic. I had a little look at that Kelso race last time. Finished behind Gold des Bois, probably has enough of a pull to reverse the form, but it was more the way he closed from the last that would give me real encouragement that he's going to get up the hill, and I think he's a really good each-way alternative, but I do like the Glancing Queen.
Everyone loves the Queen, Danny, or do they?
They do. She's won first time out 3 times previously, so it goes well fresh. But I just thought it was worth taking on, giving away all that weight. I had it between Amarillo Sky and Grey Diamond. Amarillo Sky shaped okay in the Johnny Henderson, but I'd just like to see more from him this season, so I've gone with Grey Diamond. He probably should have won. It says 7th on the race card last night, but came there to win the race and then made a terrible blunder and ended up finishing last, beaten 34 lengths, but probably would have won that event. So I thought it was worth chancing. The only problem I'd probably say is no real form around Cheltenham, which is a slight concern. See how he gets on. But Sam Thomas, horses are firing. Di Waters looks to be, fingers crossed, making a full recovery. So I think they could all do with a benefit, so I'll be with Grey Diamond.
Was it Our Power won a feature race on Saturday a couple of weeks ago at Ascot,
Yes.
didn't he? And he told me on What a Shout that week he's going to need the run. So I think he's more than capable of getting them ready.
He's become really good, Sam, hasn't he?
Very good.
He's become really
Great talker.
Good. Yeah.
Such a good talker.
Yeah, I played golf with him in a charity day 3 or 4 years ago, and he was doing all right, but he didn't have the numbers in. Now he's back. He's got a ton of Saturday
Since
horses,
becoming
hasn't he?
Di's private trainer,
Yeah,
in
it's
effect,
great.
he's got a few outside owners because he initially was struggling 3-4% strike rate. So it wasn't a good start. It was a jockey turned trainer, and you thought,
He's got a good sense of humour, Sam has.
And a hell of a drive on him.
Has he?
Oh my
That
God.
doesn't totally surprise me. Slick operator. All right then. Do you think Grey Diamond's going to sparkle as well? I'm on Mayalistic. And there's another talking point here. Isn't it great to see Brian Hughes finally down at Cheltenham again? There's so much was said about that last season. Not at the festival, not one ride at the festival. We'll go to likes of Sedgefield and all that sort of thing. His numbers are off the charts this season again,
Already hit
aren't
the
they?
100, isn't he?
I don't think that we've seen the best of this horse yet. 144, he definitely needs to step up. But look, and not to the members club like Bruce did, you've got to watch your replays at the moment. All these horses, their last runs are available to you out there on your members club. Go and check out the final furlong. This guy steamed up it, so we just need to get him into a rhythm. All right then, James, they are getting ready for the first of goodness knows how many races we're bringing you this afternoon. It's a fest. It's a Cheltenham fest. Countrywide day. Absolutely love it. The Glancing Queen, I used to have her down as a slot monkey, but she's 2 from 2 on good ground as well. She's just a brilliant mare, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's a strong traveller as well.
Yeah. No, very good. Who's commentating, by the way?
This is a great shout. Do you mind taking the first?
Yeah, I mean, I think
been
most
such a long
commentators
time.
tend to get more than 30 seconds notice, but I'll do it, yeah.
It's such a long time since I had the, the luxury of 2 men next to me that can.
Oh, does the Archer
do this?
commentate?
Oh yeah!
Thank God it's not a
absolutely.
24-runner handicap.
No, hang on,
He's
Archer,
got a lot.
I don't want to steal your thunder,
No,
mate.
Bruce, come on, let's get it. Come
Bruce,
on,
you
Scarlet
lead.
Sky.
Shall we
on for the first,
alternate?
Come on.
Yeah, go on, let's do it.
You
I
can
don't
go
mean,
to the
I don't
pond
mean I'll
fence
say
or whatever.
something then you say something. I'll do this race, you do the next one, okay?
That's
Sounds
it.
good.
It won't be like Aintree where they go over to the Foynehaven and then we hand over to Danny Archer.
It's a John Hammer. Yeah,
All
okay. Right. All right, I better learn the colours.
Yeah, okay. All right. So this could be fast and furious. Captain Tomcat put up by Paul Keeley in his scissors. Got a great chance, he said, if you ignore his last run. Of course, he won the Rising Stars around this time last year. Fugitive is the real gamble, as Bruce said. I don't know how much you take on trainer comments, but he basically talks to him like he's an idle horse in the making. Richard Hobson, he'll want further and he'll be exciting. But they're off and running Bruce Millington.
Here we go, off and running 2 miles the trip, and they're steaming up the home straight towards the first fence and cutting out the early running is Amarillo Sky. Doesn't look to be going too much pace. Pops over the first in front of Gold des Bois, and then following that one through is Fugitive. The Glancing Queen rather is on the outside. On the inside, going fine is Grey Diamond, and in behind that is Hassan Key. They all seem to jump that absolutely fine. I shouldn't think there's too many ripples in the exchange market, James, from the early action, is there?
They are liking Amarillo Sky because he's got an uncontested lead out in front, and when he gets into a rhythm, he's quite hard to beat. He's 3.7 now in the run, 4.6 to Glancing Queen.
Okay, they're going out for the complete circuit that will take them back up to the winning post for when it matters. And it's still Amarillo Sky bowling along in front, jumps the third just fine, all jumping absolutely impeccably. Just at the back on the inside, Captain Tomcat, and then on the outside is Malistic. Over the fourth, no change in the order. Anything caught your eye, Dave?
Obviously, I'm looking at Malistic. He's also does take a bit of time to settle, and he's got his old rival, who you think he'd reverse that form within second Gold des Bois. It's all about these jumping. We were talking with Charlie Post on the show on Saturday, Bruce, about how you come from northern tracks and then come and jump these park fences, as they call them. And he's got over them all right. I think Captain Tomcat out there as well. But if you're drawn to anything, surely it's the Glancing Queen, isn't it? She's in a good rhythm. If she's fit enough, she's going to carry that weight, I think.
I don't think anything of interest has happened so far. They've all settled. They've all jumped fine. There's no one in the wrong place. There's about 6 lengths from first to last. Danny, anything to add to that?
Grey Diamond was a bit sticky at the first 2, but has definitely improved. Hassan Key, the one that James liked, his big asset is his jumping, and he has obviously settled nicely. So no, nothing really at the moment. Amarillo Sky setting a decent pace up front.
What's the Glancing Queen doing in the market? She's
Not
just
happy.
lost her.
Not
She's just
happy
lost
at
her
all.
position. She's
Out
back
to
in
8.
6. Yeah, I don't think that's ideal, and she is just getting niggled at.
I've put the commentator's curse on her. Well, Fugitive catches the eye, doesn't he? And Tom said, forget the final 2 runs wasn't disgrace. We'll bounce off this ground.
Okay, they're just about to start going up the hill.
9s now.
Ooh, Captain Tomcat.
Oh, Captain Tomcat, adios. There's no way back from that, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, he's up to 100.
Pulled
Okay,
up.
so so they're about to start climbing, and it's still Amarillo Sky on the rail, going well, a length and a half clear from Gold des Bois. In third is Grey Diamond. In fourth, we've got Fugitive, and then Hassan Key on the inside of the Glancing Queen, who continues. I wouldn't quite call it being rousted, but there's a bit of wrist movement from the jockey, I would say, as they jump that ditch. And I thought that Gold des Bois just reached for that, but still Amarillo is going nicely in front. You confident, James?
I'd be happy with Amarillo Sky, 3.4, now 2.86. Just about to kick on down the hill.
Grey Diamond for Danny is the one that's given him most to worry about. Gold des Bois is still going okay. Our one's out the back, them.
Not good.
230 to 1.
Yeah, brilliant, is it?
He's hardly picked up a leg today,
I think you'd probably say
unfortunately.
there's 6 possible runners here. Hassan Key's fiddling around out the back. Okay, that's not too bad as they come down to, I think this is 3 out, isn't it?
Yeah, good job, Grey Diamond there.
Oh,
Glancing Queen
Glancing
mistake.
Queen has pecked there. Hassan Key's been ridden to challenge. Going really nicely is Fugitive in third, just on the heels of the leaders, and also trying to hang on in there is Gold Des Bois. But as they start to turn in, it is Amarillo Sky and Grey Diamond neck and neck up front. Now being driven to try and join them is Fugitive. The others are all bang under it. You can forget the Glancing Queen. Amarillo Sky turning in, still with 3/4 of a length, 2 to jump. Amarillo Sky is a length clear now from Grey Diamond. Grey Diamond sticking on okay. Fugitive trying to get there, and so's Gold Des Bois. But we come down to the last neck and neck between Grey Diamond and Amarillo Sky. Here comes Fugitive, not done.
He's hanging all over the place.
Go, but Fugitive's not done himself any favours there. Amarillo Sky really game in front. He's opened up a 2-length lead and he's going to win this. Amarillo Sky, very gutsy, front-running display, wins by a length and a half from Fugitive with another 2 lengths back to Grey Diamond, and then it's Gold Des Bois, and then the Glancing Queen, and then Hassanki, and then way back to the rest.
Was that a make-all? Looked like a make-all, wasn't it? Amarillo Sky then for Team Tizard takes out the first of our live races here this afternoon. Kept it simple. 5th in the Grand Annual then. Nice and fresh. Bounced off the ground. Eyecatcher undoubtedly in second there. Grey Diamond ran well in third as well. Loads of horses didn't turn up. It all started to go wrong for the back markers basically when Captain Tomcat said adios really. But there you go. This is a horse that, I don't know, this is probably going to be his big day in the sun, James, isn't it?
I think he was targeted. You read the Racing Post quotes. Joe Tizard said they've seen this race in the calendar. 2 mile. There's not too many 2 mile handicaps. Small field would suit. And what was key, we saw from the first fence, no one challenged him. He had a lovely easy lead. Last year, he made a couple of mistakes when he had a costly fought at Newbury. When he did get put under pressure, nothing really happened until the hill, and jockey Brendan Power saved enough. The Betfair Exchange straight away, he went down to 3-1 as soon as they jumped off, and he was never always favourite throughout the run. The Glancing Queen got bigger and bigger as she just didn't travel that well.
No, very much a first run back that, Bruce, wasn't it? She was all right over the first couple and then a bit rusty, really. You wonder with horses like this how easy they'll be to place in their second seasons. I wonder how much experience came into it. Fugitive, am I right in thinking he's surely the one to take out of this, isn't he?
Possible wind issues. He had his head at an awkward angle and he did hang badly left-handed, whether that's the ground.
But the comments from Richard Hobson beforehand were, we want a bit more rain for him. He wants a little bit further. He's eating up that hill, isn't he?
The Hobson Yob really out of form last year as well. Just looking here, 4%, three winners from 72 runners. They're already 2 from 27 this year, so definitely back in form.
Tom Siegel referenced that. He said that as with Nichols, the Hobson horses could all be really well handicapped this year because they, a lot of them really were under a cloud for a lot of last season.
Lord de Menil we saw returning to form. That's a good example. The old boy banger in the week.
Got
all right.
Xavier later on the card. Lily Pinchen riding the Veterans race, who could be interesting.
It's a big season for Joe, isn't it? Because he's kind of been running the roost there a little bit for the last couple of years, hasn't he? But they've lost, the Pottses, for example, who were some of their big owners. They've had a terrible time personally as well. They got some of these young horses last year that looked like they were going to come up to scratch. Didn't. The big breakaway turned into a hound, didn't he? So again, this guy, I remember I backed him at Newbury when he won and thought he might go on with it, and he made a couple of absolute howlers. So I don't know whether. I think first time out for me would be the one. Grey Diamond's run really well, isn't he? I think he might be better going right-handed slightly as well.
You said that before the show, and yeah, I think you're right. It has shape with promise.
Tingle Creek meeting, there's a race for him there. Oh, we get to talk about all these great things, don't we? Like Tingle Creek coming up. This is what people love about the jump season, isn't it? This series of weekends up to Christmas is
it's almost 2 seasons, isn't it? You've got November and December. Then it kind of is a bit of downtime, particularly with trainers being so reluctant to run their horses before Cheltenham. And then March, April, so you've got these 2-month bursts, haven't you? And I'd rather there was a full season right through, but, you are right. November and December for jumps fans are fantastic.
We've added that Lingfield Million meeting, haven't we?
Yeah, that's a good attempt, isn't it, to breathe life into that horse.
And the Dublin Racing Festival, of course, but that seems to be just a breeding ground for Cheltenham Festival winners. We were speaking this morning when you came in. You said people just don't want to fire their Cheltenham bullets before the big meeting now. That's why we don't see the big guns coming in now. I mean, what's he going to go up for that? £5 at least, isn't he? So you're not. He won't be winning a Grand Annual.
I don't think go. He was beat off 1-4-3 on 2 occasions last year. I'd personally go +4, no more than that. I think most of these horses were high in the handicap, apart from Fugitive, who, as you say, made it a little bit further. That's the problem with the Glancing Queen a little bit. She won that mare's handicap at the mare's meeting in April, off 140. She was odds on. The handicap, I stuck her up £5 for winning effectively a non-event. Now she's back against the Geldings, and she always struggled. I think her handicap might be an issue in the handicap company going forward. Mares Chasers will be her winning options, I think, this year.
We'll see what the ground is. Thankfully, most of the fields have stuck up.
I'd be a bit worried going into the weekend, wouldn't you? Because, I mean, he's just not going to be able to get huge quantities of water down. The forecast's phenomenal, isn't it? I mean, tomorrow they're talking about sunny and 17.
Is that right? I didn't need a jacket walking into London today.
Honestly, you could wear T-shirt and shorts at Cheltenham.
There was a
You'd be
chap
absolutely fine.
on the tube in T-shirt and shorts.
It's
and I looked at him like he was
crazy.
mad.
Absolutely mad. But I promise you, if you're going to Cheltenham Saturday or Sunday, it's going to be gorgeous, apparently. But the trouble is, if the ground starts drying out, then the fields are going to shrink even more, aren't they?
When was the last time you went to this meeting? Did you remember? I asked you to try and remember.
Yeah,
Because the memories
I
of
used
this
to go
weekend.
every year. I used to go every year with Paddy Power, the sponsors, and we used to have an absolutely belting day. Is it always brilliant? Yeah, I haven't been for quite some time.
On the train,
actually.
you said, didn't you remember the
Cheltenham
Cheltenham
No, we get the
train?
coach
Yeah.
to the little steam railway, and then you get the steam train to the course, and then coach back. It was fantastic. What a day!
I remember this race in particular in 2018, I think it must have been, and that was when the cross-country chasers run as well. And I remember Enda Bolger always used to win it. But I remember Bundoran winning this race that we just carried on. I took my son there. We must have been about 3 or something like that. First time on a racecourse, really, to Cheltenham. And we stood down by that last fence because all the crowd are in the sort of betting jungle, aren't they? And if you just go underneath the rail and you make your way down to that last fence, there's usually a bit more space. We backed Bundoran, Paddy Brennan absolutely winged it over. Is there a better sight in jump racing than the final fence at Cheltenham?
No, I mean, it's just the whole thing about Cheltenham, isn't it? However many times you go, when you get on that grandstand, you look out across the course and you see the hills in the background.
It's just different, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It's magical.
It's just different.
Love it.
Arch, when was the last time you went to this meeting?
I used to do 4 in a row, I think, when I was working in my old job for Race News. So I did 2016, I think, to 2019. So I used to go all the time. Haven't been since, but I think I remember Altior was even one at this meeting before.
He won the Grade 2 Sharp Novice Hurdle on the
Supreme
Sunday.
Trial, yeah. So some good memories. I really like it, and obviously, even the Sunday, it's only it used to be just a 6-race card, but with a slur chase, there's always a bit of quality. So you can't beat Cheltenham, can you? Really?
Countryside Day this Friday. I do these shows. Thankfully now for all of you out there, so I don't get to go to some of the Saturdays unless I take one off. But if there was one day in the racing calendar, I mean this, that I miss going to, I think it's this.
Really?
Yeah. Get a bit of the old tweed on.
Do you own tweed?
I do.
Do you? What have
you
you
should
got?
see me at point to point. I look like toe to toe.
Have you got full on the strides
Absolutely.
as well?
I'm telling you I do.
And the
Mustard
big cap.
trousers.
You've got the cap.
Absolutely. They'll
With
all
the
be
big
there today.
overhang.
And they have the sort of trade stalls, don't they? And I like walking amongst them like I'm one of them. And
there's a load of dogs come running up the home
yeah,
straight
they
at
have the
some point,
hounds.
don't they? Yeah,
the hounds, absolutely. We should see at the point to points and things. They'll all be there today. Charlie Post, who's on the show tomorrow, he's there with all the ex-jockeys. They're all there. But it is a great day to go to. You meet everyone and you get to meet the jockeys. Paddy Brennan after this race, do you remember I told you he flung his goggles?
Yeah, that's right. I remember you saying,
and Seb caught them and he had a selfie with him on the horse. Seb thought it was, I thought it was the best thing he's ever done.
Have you got a fair bit of tweed, James? What's your
I do
tweed
not
one?
possess any tweed.
You've been at this
No
meeting, though,
way.
haven't you?
Nah.
You
The old man, when we have a jump runner, it all comes out. But
You don't have any?
I don't have any tweed, no.
See, I've always preferred Rod, to be honest. But you sold a bumper horse once at this meeting,
That was
didn't
my
you?
last memory of going to Cheltenham. Was I rode a horse to win a bumper at Fosslas, and then a week later he went to Cheltenham sales. Didn't make as much as I would have liked. I think 60, I think he made.
Everyone just thought of him as sort of this journeyman, sort of, I don't know.
I was one from one
nepotism jockey.
in the National Hunt Sphere for a while. But he was a very nice horse. And
You've ridden a Great Wood winner, you were telling me.
New Mead.
I had to look that back up.
Gary Moore's horse.
yeah,
He
yeah.
came to us afterwards. I rode him on the flat when he'd lost all interest.
Stables had a couple of winners at this race?
Back
At this
in
meeting?
when it wasn't really as big as what it was. I think at 95 we won.
95?
95, a horse called Hanson and World Express won on the Friday and the Sunday. But that was before proper watering, and it was firm. It was rock hard ground, and I think it's 3 and 4 runners. There was hardly any runners at all. But
A lot of people have you down for being a flat man, if you like, don't you? You know, but you are dual.
Well,
it is a dual purpose
from
yard,
the
isn't
West
it?
Country, all our local tracks are all jumping tracks, and Dad was a jump jockey. The problem with the West Country is that it's really competitive. Paul Nicholls, Philip Hobbs, Martin Pipe, or David Pipe, all the top UK trainers are based in the West Country. So if you go to Exeter, you've got a novice hurdle there. You've got potential Cheltenham horses going forward, whereas for us, our hurdles used to be failed flat horses, and you've got to have good types now. So we've got one bumper horse who was 4th at Aintree the other day, But yeah, we have a few jumpers. Dad loves it, but it is hard down our way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What's the good horse that you got back that you managed to get beaten at Newton Abbott in a main hurdle? What's his name?
Duke of Bronte, unfortunately.
Duke of Bronte.
Unfortunately, as usual, jump horses, he got a leg injury on the back of that. So
Sergeant
that is
Cecil, of course, you
the
remember?
negative.
Absolutely, of course, yeah.
He's been dining out on that ever since. All right, so we talk about the flat there a little bit. In between these races, we're going to have a chance to have a bit of chat about everything. I know people going, it's Cheltenham, what are you talking about the flat for? But it's been quite a sort of newsy week on the flat, hasn't it? Stud fees in particular. I guess it's this time of year, isn't it? You know, Flightline we saw winning, and here we go, stud fees. This is the hot topic. The first one we're going off with. Midweek fee rise for the leading stallions. And a lot of this is on the back of Flightline. Did we enjoy Flightline last week?
Did.
Yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was
a lot of
brilliant.
people just like, you know,
Really?
even Keels give it a
No,
nod,
I
didn't
thought
they?
everyone was pretty blown away. It was an amazing performance.
Greatest dirt or since Secretariat, I suppose.
Yeah,
on the
it was
figures.
brilliant. My favourite thing was NBC guy interviewing Aidan O'Brien before the race, and he says, we're here to speak to Aidan O'Brien, who's in the paddock before the Classic, to saddle no one. And he goes, what are you doing here, Aidan? And Aidan, just goes, we're all racing fans at heart. I just want to see this horse in flesh and blood. I'm just keen to see him. We all love the game. I thought, what an absolute top man Aidan is. He didn't have a runner, but there he is, desperate to see Flightline. I thought it was a phenomenal performance.
I've never been to Cheltenham, but it looked like a little bit of a weird production because they were slightly away, you know, your ex-jockeys, Stevens and all those guys that were talking about it. It looked like quite a weird, odd sort of crowd. The weather looked a little bit weird.
If you're going to go Breeders' Cup, don't go to Keeneland.
Next year it's Santa Anita.
I've been there.
Nowhere near a November card or anything
I went to the Breeders' Cup in 2019, I think. It was amazing.
At Santa Anita?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Wow,
It was
so
stunning.
that's next year.
Absolutely great.
So Flightline, and then all of a sudden everyone's saying, what sort of stud fee? And then out of nowhere, Juddmonte went and hiked Frankel up, didn't they?
Well, Frankel's what, 275, and then Dubawi is 350, 350 grand per covering.
And that happened about 15 minutes later or something ridiculous, didn't it?
Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I was asking Kitty on our Bloodstock day, I said, how many coverings at 350 will he get? And they said, well, it's not quite as simple as that, because if you've got a really high quality mare going, say Alpinista goes, it won't necessarily be full price, but there will be some at 350. So just say he covers 100 mares at 350. That makes 35 million quid in a year. Well, not even a year, is it? It's a short season. So,
But you look at what colours Dubawi's running: blue, yellow, and black.
You basically said no one has Dubawis to me in the list coming up here. I'm going to blow you out, but Shape Mo and his mates.
so you're cynical. On
Nobody.
He's so cynical.
Well, no one can really afford 350 unless you've got the elite horses and you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, but that is who owns the top level horses.
The Dubawi horses, they stay within the Maktoum family. At Baydor don't really have any Dubawis. They would be ones that could afford to send mares to him at 350. I think it's a little bit. He's still the most expensive stallion.
Right.
Of the two, Frankel produces, I think, the superstars, but they are very difficult to train and they're hard work. Whereas Dubawis do seem to be more solid. And you kind of, I think if you go to a Dubawi, you're going to get a very, very good racehorse that's quite easy to deal with. They seem to be quite well-tempered, whereas the Frankels, you do see them being uncontrollable. But the prices, you're dealing with that elite bloodstock industry. It's no.
Simon O'Neill comes on, and James says 175,000 for No Nay Never. Of course, it was talked about massively, wasn't it? Little Big Bear.
Baydor have gone quite big on him, and they're interested to see how those 2-year-olds get on next year.
Didn't go bad in the Breeders' Cup though, did it?
Not a great Breeders' Cup juvenile class, I don't think.
Hang on.
I think they were pretty moderate.
Just celebrate the fact that he had, a great Breeders' Cup.
He did.
Look at Maddie over there.
Yeah. Are you Maddie in disguise?
I didn't think they were that strong, those juvenile contests. A lot of them got beat. It was a horse that won the Colts race, took 5 goes to actually get off the mark.
Victory. Yeah, but Hayden can do that with horses, can't he?
Yeah.
And he beat the right horse in Silver Knot, didn't he?
Meditate. Got beat twice over here, looked an absolute machine.
But I don't know. It was nice to hear Ryan Moore talking properly, wasn't it? When he was interviewed by the pony rider afterwards and stuff. I've never heard him so effusive.
She found it quite hard work to get words out of him there. I think she was relieved when Buick won a race that it was a bit more chatty.
Hang on.
Compared to normal,
yeah,
exactly.
that was
the most he ever opens up, wasn't it?
Yeah, he does that
She
abroad.
probably would have thought, Christ, what's going on here? But there'll be people like Bob Cooper who have to try and get a word out of him at Lingfield. They're going, hang on a sec, why don't I get this
experience. Yeah, I think he does talk more when he's abroad, doesn't he? Because sometimes you're under contract too, actually, in Australia and Japan and things like that.
Japan's the best one because he is definitely very talkative in Japan compared to any of the other media.
Yeah.
I think he knows because it doesn't really get seen over here.
He's riding there this weekend, isn't he? I think he's got his
Short-term
licence to ride this weekend. Yeah.
Him and David Egan, both short term, and Holly and Tom are a bit longer.
There you go. And actually, Kingman was dropped, wasn't he? And amongst all of this, Kingman, you know,
Not a great season for him. He struggled a little bit. The second and third crops have not been quite as strong as expected.
So, James, if you've got a top quality mare who's just retired at 5 with all sorts of black type or whatever, she's decent, and you've got 100 grand to spend on a
Well, I'd actually go cheaper if you got a speedy one. Havana Gray, he's only gone up to 18,500.
I noticed he was, and that was actually a really good news piece, wasn't it? Because they said we're conscious of who our clientele will be.
Well, that's the thing. We're talking about the Frankels, the Dubawis. They're out of the reach for the normal breeders, whereas Whitesbury have got the problem where a stallion that was at £6,000 has upgraded nearly all the mares that he got sent. But they don't really want to put those breeders out of the pool because they've supported him and got him to that point. So 8.5, we had 2 Havana Greys, both got black type. I'd say he is a stallion. I'm interested to see with a better crop of mares this time around with a higher price, how well he'll do in 3 years' time when they're hitting the track.
My favourite Bloodstock related piece recently. Did you read it? Craig Thake on the imbecility of the fact that there is still a thing called black type. I mean, it is absolute nuts, isn't it?
It's infuriated
You'll
people,
see
this.
Connections, they'll get something crawl over the line in third in some rubbish listed race.
Beat 'em
And they
at
go, we've got
distance.
black type. Who goes to buy Racecourse and goes, right, I'm looking through this. Oh, wow, look, black type. Oh, I'll buy that. You know, you delve deeper, don't you? This is 2022. I mean, come on.
It is, but that's still what the owner breeders are aiming for. And
It's nonsense. It's so weird that you've got at your disposal, you can go onto the internet and look at anything and learn anything about any horse. So why would
it's
black
nonsense,
type matter?
But if you've got black type, your horse will make more at the sales than a horse rated higher without the black type.
It is disappointing as a
It's
racing
insanity.
fan, though, that you can
It's
get, say,
insanity.
you know, a filly that's on like a 4-timer has gone up from a mark of 60 to like near 90, and you think just run her in, and here she is like in a Group 2 race, and they're like, well, we think it's weak at this time of year, and that kind of can bottom them out, can't it? You know,
But
this
also,
end of
you
it.
can get an inflate, even if you get beat running an 80 horse in a listed race or a group race, you might only get beat 5 lengths, even though you're not generally within 5 lengths of that horse, just the nature of the way the race was run. Your rating would then go up to 92, 93. Then you're going to make more money because of your rating. And even though in a handicap, that horse will probably only ever get to 78, 80, you've increased the value of that as a broodmare.
But
Guess
isn't the
who's been
buyer-
chasing black type this year?
Well, yeah, exactly. But
But
it's
it-
smart. If there's still
makes-
mugs,
it
if there's
still
still
makes more
mugs,
money.
if there's mugs out there prepared to be so beguiled by a bit of black type without delving in and seeing whether it's, you know, genuine or just, as you say, they managed to scrape in, then more fool them.
Yeah. Who was the best horse that you had this year? Was it a
This
two-year-old?
year, Cuban Mission was 96. She
You
won
won
a listed race.
a listed race.
And
yes.
Tagline got
38
3
winners this.
40 because the racing league doesn't come on that little
Doesn't it?
tab. Yeah,
Is
because
that
it's
right? You had a double at the racing
not
league?
open to everybody. It doesn't come up on.
There's
the,
something
the
about
tally.
your totals that you don't like on this show, isn't it? I once, the
got my
first time he
total
came
wrong,
in,
yeah,
I was
you-
in, I've got your jockey total here.
You're
Why
wrong.
did you ride so many at Kempton? He was livid that I got it wrong. I was about 20 under, apparently.
Yeah,
Racehorse
you-
That
Interactive,
is
I think,
very
right.
shoddy by you.
But, well, I think Racehorse Interactive was probably right what I'm using. I haven't actually counted them all, but far be it for a jockey to add to his total. So you said to Graham Rodway, famously at the start of the season, we're all rubbish, we're not going to hardly win anyway, moan, 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 and it's yet again been another stellar season.
We had a good year in the end, better than I expected.
You've been avoiding him on this show as well,
No,
haven't you?
the bear has avoided me. I think. I don't think he wants to discuss training methods.
Is he on this weekend?
He's not
G-Rod?
on this weekend. Who else have we got on? We've got great panels today. Tomorrow we've got the 2 jockeys. We've got Posty and Batch on. Charlie Post and Maddie Batch with James. And then on Sunday we've got Batch coming back on and Keith Melrose makes his return. And he's very much looking forward to that as well. So plenty coming your way. Shall we get back to Cheltenham? I hear you cry. Yes, let's do that. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of tennis there that was going on. You can see we give you some premium content here. Preferences for Hereditary Rule. Nap. who looks a natural chaser, can enhance already excellent record over fences. I'll just get this out of the way. I like him. I'm surprised his bigger price is. John McConnelly's trainer had a treble at the meeting. He says, if you believe the quotes, a little held up here. He won over hurdles last night down Patrick. Go back to that Cartmel run. I know it's Cartmel coming to Cheltenham. He looked like a completely different animal in that. He has won at Ayr and the likes of that before. I really like this chap. I think he'll get bowling and I think he'll get them all at it. James, what about you?
Well, we're joint favourites at the moment. Actually, Pull Again Green is just 3.7. Unanswered Prayers 3.75. 5.6 Hereditary Rule. Just going back to your little setback, he got struck into on his heel, which means basically they couldn't train him for a few weeks because as soon as you stop putting him on the gallop again, they're going to open up the sore. So it's interesting to read his quote. He's 98%, not 102%. I can see why he's been a little bit weak in the market on the back of that quote, because that's a training setback which you wouldn't want to happen, but this race has been the plan, so the hand's been forced a little bit. So interesting to see how he gets on, but he's 5.6, 7.4 the rest. I really like Unanswered Prayers. I'm going to have £50 win on him. He's the nap of the first day at the showcase meeting. 3.6 now. He's just come back in since I said. I really liked him. He was supposed to run at Newbury and chase David. The ground was too quick.
Yeah, it was that meeting where basically everything defected.
I had a really easy shift because the races went down to 2 runners, 3 runners, nearly a walkovers in effect because they had 40 mil of rain in 2 days and the ground was still rock hard. It was crazy. But
I covered that meeting doing the close-up comments and I got a rollicking. The first rollicking I've had in years, which will please you very much. It was a 2-runner race. Huel Goats, I think was the name of the horse.
Were
you there that meeting? You were there.
Were you not listening to my... Were you not listening to my...
I think I remember you saying that he'd probably get beat or something like that, and I thought, absolute rubbish.
I did say when there was 4 rivals against him.
I was doing the close-up comments, and it's appraisal season here coming up, as you well know, probably something you invented.
No.
At the Racing Post. And they have to put sort of, I mean, I've been here for a long time, you know, nearly as long as Bruce. They have to sort of pull you up on things, you know, like they have to sort of find things. This one, it was easy for them. There was a 2-runner race and it was so boring that apparently I missed every error at every fence that was done.
Which
and a guy called Richard Young who runs it was like, what are you doing?
Holgoat didn't make any errors, the other one did.
It was the other one, I can't remember what it was
Zane
called.
or something.
Zane, yeah, whatever it was. Anyway, so it was so boring that meeting, I even went to sleep doing the comments.
Oh, you did jump badly. Did you? I can't believe you missed that.
So this guy was supposed to run in that race, I believe, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in that race. So I actually tipped him up before they all came out. Chris Gordon walked the track, took all his horses out on that occasion. I thought he had a good novice campaign over hurdles. He went for the River Don, the Grade 2. That was too big a step after winning at Wincanton. Back on track at Plumpton, and that 5th to Nappers Hill in his return, I thought was a pretty good effort.
Works out well. Always works out well at the Silver Trophy, doesn't it? It's just one of those races that you know, form-wise, you get lots of winners out. You are seeing the ball big as well, Arch.
It's the form of that Silver Trophy for me. OK, he's got to make his chasing debut here, but Nappers Hill has obviously then gone and won the Elite. Lord Baddesley, the 2nd, has won. Masters Legacy, the 6th, has won. And Prescreamer, the 7th, has also bolted up at Haydock. So the form's very strong. Pull Again Green didn't jump very well on debut, but I do
wanted
think
to fancy
more...
this horse, and I look back in, I wasn't totally convinced.
He's interesting in terms of he definitely will improve, but I just thought he was worth taking because I wasn't that taken. In the build-up, they said he'd scored really well, but I just thought his jumping lacked a bit of fluency. So if Unanswered Prayers jumps well, I think it'll be tough to beat.
Well, Dean Lewis can't have him either. Dean, welcome along to the show. Couldn't have Unanswered Prayers. There's a prerequisite for winning this race. Let's have a little look. And I mean, Amarillo's guy blew that up in the previous race in that he was a seasonal debutant. He won. I think 6 of the last 10 have been last time out winners. So you've got to have had a run. I mean, Gin Online we shouldn't really count, should we? But Protectorat won this a couple of years ago. Good horses do it. Count Maribel, that was the day I was there. Gave Mark Grant a first ever winner at Cheltenham. He was crying his eyes out when it came in. Takin Desoy, more of that. Really good horses win this. Whether Chase debutants win it or not, I do not know. Bruce, what do you like?
I'm with you.
Yes.
Hereditary Rule, yeah. I mean, it's a tricky race for sure, but I to be honest, I thought Unanswered Prayers was too short, but he's since come out. He's come out into the bet into a more backable price. I wouldn't be surprised to see that win. Again, with Pull Again Green, I'm kind of like you. I wanted to fancy it. Yeah. I think if there's a stable that you can forgive a bad run, it's Fergal O'Brien because he can get them ready. But as the Archers pointed out, the jumping was the problem. So, you know, I think that one's a little bit short. So I've gone with Hereditary Rule. The form's all there. He's going to be fit. He likes the ground. He wins, you know, and I know people might say that's silly, but I do like horses with ones on the form because I think mentally it's healthy that the
Yes.
horses know how to get over the line. So in a very tricky heat, I thought Hereditary Rule might be quite hard to keep out the 3 each way bet for me.
Well, thankfully, Bruce, Andy's with us as well. Andy Sim comes back on. He likes to do this, Andy, and he's quite successful at these, aren't he? Hereditary Rule starts my singles, doubles, and trebles. Right, wish you great luck with that. And Keith Donohoe, or Daryl Jacob, I should say, for John McConnell, the 7-year-old.
You're a former pop star. Who had a hit with Unanswered Prayers?
Oh man, I'm terrible at all these.
I did the postcast with David Jennings.
Well,
and
he knew.
Well, he said to me, he was on with me and Robbie Wilders, and he said, "You two are English. You won't know who had a hit with Unanswered Prayers, will you?" And I said, "Well, who is it? An Irish act?"
Enya?
No.
Why did you say it's an Irish act?
Well, because Dave...
Like he might just listen to Gaelic pop stars.
No, because Dave was saying you English lads won't know who did it, so I presumed it was Irish, but it's not. It's a country and western star.
Oh man, I would never know. I mean,
Garth Brooks.
Oh, the guy
yeah.
that basically stopped Ireland last month.
Exactly,
or whatever it
yeah.
was.
Yeah. So Unanswered Prayers apparently is one of his big
Country
hits.
music fan?
Well, funny enough, I followed up with Dave saying that I'd actually been to see Garth Brooks at a country and western festival in Palm Springs a few years ago. So he probably performed it, but it all went over my head. I'm no fan of that stuff.
Did you put on the
No, I didn't. I definitely. But there's a lot of weirdos there with all that caper and massive great boots.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. The better dancer you are, the better you have on your arm.
So
then.
he
Let's
may
just put
well
it
have
that way.
performed it, and I've watched it, but it didn't hit home with me. So
All
anyway,
right.
that's the story of Unanswered Prayers. His name.
Brilliant. Well, okay. And Elsa Parley, one of our regulars, comes back on and says Railway Hurricane. Okay, Railway Hurricane for Gav Cromwell, who of course took out the first race with a horse that had only run 3 days ago. So we've spoken, James. What's the market saying?
Markets, again, joint favourites, 3.7 the pair, Pulligane Green and Unanswered Prayers. Hereditary Rule, 5.5, a little within. The third one, Super 6, 7.8. Key point about the race, though, first time it's a novices limited handicap. Last year when he had the 2 taking part, an open novice, Protector out, again, a class angle. So we've got a slightly lower graded horse. And again, Unanswered Prayers is getting £11 from his fellow joint favourite.
First time up over fences. Quite brave at this price, isn't it?
Who are you asking?
Unanswered Prayers.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
hang
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
What were you smiling at? What have you
Well,
got
just
for us?
looking down the field, they could almost all be country and western songs. These, couldn't they?
Stimulating song.
Stimulating song, Railway Hurricane. That's a
Super
classic,
6,
isn't
definitely.
it? Yeah.
Railway Hurricane,
I'm not sure about
absolutely.
de John. Apart from that,
Millanford.
this is like a sort of hoedown in one race.
I'll tell
yeah.
you, I have actually been to a roadhouse before over there and sort of danced around the bar. And the bars are sort of there's one there and you dance around it, and there's another bigger bar and you dance around it, and you have to sort of make your way to the bar as they're going past. Jesus, I was terrible at it. Line dancing. Okay, have we got any more out there? Let's give a shout out to the postcast then, because Bruce mentioned that he had Rob. Was it yesterday he did it? That's unusual.
We normally do it Friday to preview the Saturday stuff
lots
because
of
it's the
content
3-day
on.
meeting. We've done them all, so they're all on there. You can go on YouTube and
Look
find
at
that.
that.
Loads and loads of tips for all 3 days.
3 p.m. every Friday then. And probably our original show, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. It's the
Yeah.
very first one we did way back.
In the old offices.
Could be 10. Yeah, it could be 10
remember.
years old now.
I
that.
remember them very well.
We've
I
had
remember
so
them very
many
well.
legends on there down
Yeah,
the years. We really have.
You started filming them, didn't you? That was kind of when it all started changing, wasn't it? You
When
were
it
the
started
one that
going wrong, when
suggested-
people could see how ugly I was. So, oh my goodness.
You can
me.
look back on a few of them. You can find them on YouTube. Some of them are hilarious. I think in the days of Rodway, not realising there was a camera on.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, all that sort of thing.
Rodway, I remember asking Rodway for his nap, and he says, right, I really fancy one at Chelmsford on Sunday. It's trained by so-and-so. He says, the only trouble is it wasn't declared.
That's the sort of thing that Wilders gives me on these shows now. Does it run, Robbie? I've got a quote coming from Amarillo Sky before we look a bit closer into this race, by the way. Again, you can kind of see it was his day. It was the right kind of race when we fancied him. He's a proper 2-miler, and he goes to the Newbury Showpiece weekend at the end of this month. I don't really know what to call that Newbury meeting anymore. People get angry. when you
Christmas
say-
festival?
Oh,
Didn't they call it
Oh,
that?
it's a Christmas festival.
That's
because
caused
the
a bit of
plague has
rupture,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you heard about this? The carnival.
The members are not happy.
Is it just the members that aren't happy? Because of course you can get there on the train. It's a brilliant course, isn't it, to get there by train? You go, you go on that slough line, isn't it, and down there, and you literally get off and you go. One of the first race courses I ever went to, I think, and I got there on train too. And this meeting is one for the real traditionalists, isn't it? But they have stuck an ice rink in the middle. They've got like a big sort of Ferris wheel.
The ice rink's not the problem because that's quite flat. But
it's the fact you can't see the back.
The big
straight.
wheel, the helter-skelter, the circus tent.
blocking the whole back straight.
Yeah.
Apparently
Was it
so.
there when you were there?
No, just
trying
had
to commentate.
bare bit of grass that they'd all disappeared to get it ready for this.
Am I the only one that thinks it's a brilliant idea?
Let's income into the
I think it's fine.
it's
And
outstanding.
also, how many people actually watch the race with the naked eyes? They go down the back straight. Now, everyone's watching the big screen, aren't
purists,
they?
I suppose, would be
Well, yeah, the purists do, but you've got a massive big screen. I think it's one. There's going to be absolute ructions, and
Well, it'll be,
they will, honestly.
Monday's Racing Post will be.
It'll be enormous. The letters
complaints.
editor will be absolute. Oh, Christ, not another letter about them.
Which one do I choose? I think it's a great idea.
I do as well.
Yeah, because I think that, that Challow meeting hardly has anyone there.
But wouldn't it be great if all that extra money they get in from these things they actually spent on prize money?
That would be nice.
That's the thing.
Rather than on a new block of flats.
I'm all for bringing in some revenue, but actually recycle it into prize money because it's not great there, is it?
No, so I think it's going to be one of the biggest Christmas attractions, believe it or not, starting at the next meter. And you don't just get the Coral Gold Cup, the Old Energy, whatever you want to call it, that meter where you see all the stars come over. You also get to go and meet Santa Claus as well. Isn't that wonderful? All right, okay. Unanswered prayers. We've got a split here, by the way, the first split of the weekend. 2 for Hereditary Rule. Myself and Bruce, who seems like he's coming back in for more support, James, and you both have gone for unanswered prayers, yourself and Arch.
Well, unanswered prayers a clear favourite now, 3.35, 3.8 for Pull Again Green. Hereditary Rule was strong in the 10 minutes leading up to the race, just gone back out to 6.6 again. Super 6 is the only other one really considered at 7.6. Big prices the rest.
I thought he would run quite well, Super 6. Is he a Tom Siegel pick? I sort of said that knowing the answer, which is annoying, isn't it?
Well, what is it?
I think it is. I mean, I've got a lot to think about, but I think I saw Tom go for that one. Let's have a little look.
Archie's quiet, isn't he? He's swatting away.
I'm
on
just
the
getting
colours.
him ready,
Now he knows he's commentating.
The big
He's
moment
gone
is
quiet.
coming.
I was very impressed, Bruce, I have to
Well,
say.
yeah,
The
very
big moment
I've
is
set
coming.
a high bar for you, mate.
I can see Price-Wise Extra on the website.
Price-Wise has gone Super 6, and he went fugitive in the first race, who ran well, didn't he?
Yeah, all right, Super 6 it is then. For the Twisters, all right, it's going to be exciting. No cross-country race today, of course. It's too quick out there. They've got to be safe. Rodway would be gutted about that. He loves the cross-country, doesn't he? We usually like Rodway.
Rodway, yeah. he
Cheese
does.
wedges.
That's sarcasm, no?
No, he loves it. He loves it. He goes across and it starts
I
by the
thought it would
cheese
be
wedges.
an angry.
Doesn't really do sarcasm.
Do you remember that time when we were in here doing a cross country and he goes, they're just coming down to the cheese wedges, and he said it about 8 times before they actually
How
got
many
to
cheese
it.
wedges
He
do
goes,
they have?
I'm sure the next one's the cheese. Oh no, it must be the next one.
Yeah, I
Must
think he
have been
backed the
8
winner as well. Was
obstacles
it back
before
on the
they got
lash
there.
won it as well?
Yeah.
Great memories. So we missed that. Hopefully the cross country will come back. I'm a big fan of it. Spot the Difference was one of my favourite horses of all time.
3 in a row.
Garchon Petra. Yeah, what?
520 grand
Jossie's
horse.
Orders or whatever it's called.
We haven't had a calamity in a cross country for a while. Do you remember? It used to be
jockeys
about
led to say it.
evens, didn't
AP
it?
McCoy and that, they refused to ride in it because
It was
so
Davy Russell that
risky
led
for
them a
getting-
merry dance one year, wasn't it? Andrew Thornton, do you remember that? I mean, he can't see what was
Lenzio.
going anyway.
They were all over the place, weren't they? And you'd have horses going through the rails and all sorts happening. But it's a lot more sensible now.
Yeah, all right. So we've got the Veterans Chase coming up instead. 3 races over the fences, and then we end with a novice hurdle. That's absolutely fascinating, that as well. All right, Arch, you happy to take the mantle here?
I think so.
Calling your nap here unanswered prayers.
Still solid, James, just final
Very
question
strong,
show?
3.35 unanswered prayers. Pull Again Green, 3.95 is a little bit weak. Is Paddy Brandon's mount. Hereditary Rule solid at 6.2.
From memory, they don't tend to go a great gallop in this race. You get some great finishes from about that tricky third last.
Here we go then. Just coming into line, Stimulating Song looks like being prominent along with Unanswered Prayers. Second race we're going to show today, the SSS Super Alloys Novices Limited Handicap Chase. As James say, Unanswered Prayers remains a solid enough favourite. There's Dave and Bruce with Hereditary Rule at 100 to 30. 30 to 1, you've got a good price on Hereditary Rule there on that graphic, Dave.
Have we?
30 to 1.
Oh, right. Who's put that up? Some
yeah.
buffoon in the...
I had to take 100 to 30. Oh, they've changed it.
There we go, Sam R. All right, and off we go. Off and running.
Off we
Back
go.
to Arch.
Unanswered
You're in front, Arch.
Unanswered Prayers. See how he takes his first fence in public. Stimulating Song also prominent, and Pull Again Green as they come towards the first. Tom Cannon aboard Unanswered Prayers. Bit guessy, but a lot of them wear plenty of them
blimey.
We got hampered there, Bruce.
Hereditary
Railway
Rule.
Hurricane, very slow.
Slow jump from Hereditary Rule as well. Super 6 now moves in towards third place, and also on the outside is On Air de Jonc, but they take the second. It's still out in front.
Good jump.
Jump well there on Unanswered Prayers. Pull Again Green, slight mistake, and Stimulating Song back in the field also. Early, early moves, Bruce? Who do you like?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of very sloppy jumps. I wouldn't have fancied it if I was a Railway Hurricane backer because it was very slow over the first. Ballooning that one was Pull Again Green, so the bad jumping from the debuts carried on. What's the market?
Market saying 2.16 on Answer Prayers, out to 6.6 Pull Again Green. Yours already roll with Southerns. Super 6 is the one that's been backed, and I'd be happiest with Super 6 because Answer Prayers is a little bit green into his fences.
I think we got hampered at that first fence.
Yeah, I do. Squeezed out. Yeah, I thought we got squeezed.
Yeah, by that cross-country number one that never was Railway Hurricane. What about Super 6? Where's he at the moment?
He's in second. He's the old grey.
I love this from the two trainers that have got the chasing debutants. If you've got a horse that can jump, just bounce them out.
So they turn into the home straight for the first time. Unanswered Prayers, Super Sick also there as well. Pull Again Green, Milan Ford in fourth, and De Jonk also back in the field. Hereditary Rule now in fifth. Stimulating Song, who has struggled so far at his fences, in sixth and bringing up the rear at the moment, is Railway Hurricane. Still jumping well on Unanswered Prayers. Gone into a nice river mad in front. Super 6 in second. Pull Again Green in third. On Air De Jonk, no real change in the order. Hereditary Rule still towards the back with Stimulating Song. And pulling up the rear still is Railway Hurricane. But Unanswered Prayers went into a nice rhythm ad in front, James.
The in-running punters are loving Unanswered Prayers jumping so far. He's odds on now.
He's got odds on, has he? With a circuit to go.
Can't
that
be
is a
odds.
bold
It can't
move.
be odds on.
Oh, and he was short in there.
Can't be odds on. That's
a mistake from
ridiculous.
Unanswered Prayers there, but Super 6 in second. Pull Again Green does look to finally have settled in third and jumping with a bit more aplomb. Was a bit big there. And Air De Jonk in fourth. Railway Hurricane and Simulator Song at the back. Hereditary Rule settled now, chaps. Feeling a bit happier.
He's all right. I mean,
I think
the only
all
thing
right.
he's done, he hasn't done anything wrong. He just got squeezed up at the first. He's absolutely fine there.
I think I'd like to be rough. I mean, Paddy Brennan's got the ideal sit-ons. Look at that crowd. Absolutely fantastic, isn't it, to see that on this countryside day there. I mean, it's teeming with people. And yeah, I think I'd be all right. Stimulating Song looks like he's pretty much gone, doesn't he? He's come back off a long layoff for Milt Harris. One of the best named trainers in the business has got one in here, Sid Hosey.
Yeah, Sid. I thought that was a quality name.
Top
yeah,
name.
That's out of a Dick Francis novel, that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, Sid Hosey. He sort of owns them as well, doesn't he? He's spread them all around. But that's warming up quite nicely. Hurricane, I think, for he looks like he's gone, I think, probably Railway Hurricane.
Do you?
I wouldn't say putting
He's
on a
all right.
zero
He's just
on it
tacked.
yet.
He's just
I think
tacked
he's
back
also
onto
like
the
to get
lead.
on
I'm
with
just
it a bit
thinking
more.
he's going okay.
Honors Jonk's making a bit of a move down.
Yeah, a slight injection in pace, but again, Unanswered Prayers, very, very good at his fences. Stimulating Song looks to have been pulled up at the back of the field. Pull Again Green in second. On Air De Jonk has now tried to make a move on the outside. Super Stick still goes well in fourth. They come to the next. Unanswered Prayers again measures it nicely. Pull Again Green now, and that comes on the outside for Paddy Brennan. And Air De Jonk, Super 6, prominence with Hereditary Rule, Milan Ford, and still at the back, Railway Hurricane. They take the next. Again, they all jump it well apart from Super 6, who makes a slight mistake under Sam Twiston Davis, but quickly regathers his mount. But Pull Again Green and Unanswered Prayers leading. James, any change in the market?
Super 6 now up to 10s on the back of that mistake. 2.38 Unanswered Prayers. And Pull Again Green, Paddy's got stronger on him. He's now 4.6. He has been backed.
Pull Again Green attacks the fence and jumps to on Air De Jonk, the one who made a mistake.
If you're taking on the favourite here, you're loving what Paddy's doing. I mean, the joint favourites really, aren't they? Because really, they're going at it a long way out here, guys.
I like Hereditary.
Yes,
just
come
being
on.
brought into the race.
Come on, the McConnell Raider.
Hereditary Raw in fifth, but it's still Unanswered Prayers in front. Pull Again Green on the outside. Milan Ford actually for Sid Hosey travelling nicely in third. Super 6 also there. Railway Hurricane.
Yeah, no, he's
Railway
coming.
Hurricane ridden cold in sixth.
I called this, guys. They concertina here in this race. They always do.
Hereditary Raw on the outside for Darryl Jacob, now starting to make
Come
a move
on,
and
then.
going well. Big fence coming
Up
up.
we go.
They all jump it
good
well.
jump too.
It's Unanswered Prayers still out in front. Pull Again Green in second. Paddy
struggling.
Brennan
I
looks
don't know.
sweet.
I don't think we are.
Railway
We're back on the
Hurricane
bridle.
still in sixth.
I tell you what,
Hereditary Raw is
Railway
coming.
Hurricane. Railway Hurricane's the one that's cruising.
You think this will be a closer, guys?
So as they finally are about to turn in, it's still out in front of Unanswered Prayers. Tom Cannon, though, is getting to work.
James's professional reputation relies on Unanswered Prayers winning this.
Look
I
at
think we're gonna get
Hereditary
this,
Raw
Bruce.
on the outside. Darryl Jacob.
Railway
Come on, Darryl.
Railway wins it.
Railway Hurricane.
Light him up,
Wooden
Darryl.
Cold. They come to the second last.
Oh,
Over
Hereditary's
Unanswered
over.
Prayers. Here comes Railway Hurricane, though. Cruising in second, you think. A bit of a gap now back to Pull Again Green. Hereditary Raw. Here's the final fence. Unanswered Prayers pings it.
He's running
It's in
down.
second place. It's Railway Hurricane. Unanswered Prayers starts up the
he's
hill.
running
He's
all over the
wandering.
place.
Railway Hurricane goes for a berth up the inside
gonna get
rail.
him.
Unanswered Prayers and Railway Hurricane. It's neck two.
Oh,
He
well
gets
done,
him
lads.
straight. Unanswered Prayers. Great ride. Tom Cannon sees off. A good performance in second from Railway Hurricane.
good
Half
thing,
length
yeah.
behind them. Hereditary Raw in third. Pull Again Green fourth. Super 6 fifth. Milan Ford sixth. and on air to Jonk 7th.
It's good, isn't
I'll
it?
tell you
This
what,
boy,
hats
blimey.
off. Great shout. It was the nap as well that you enjoyed that one, you could tell. Quite right, this is what we want. Celebrations. And I tell you what, Gamble landed, lads.
Well done,
Even
lads.
James,
Well done.
When James goes a bit quiet and a bit tense, you
Like
know,
Ross
it means
Briley,
a lot.
when-
Right,
when
absolutely.
Ross,
Yes, absolutely. All right, James, tell us the story of the race. How big did he go at any stage?
Around about 3-1, just down the hill where he came off the Barada, but his jumping was pretty impeccable. The first two were a little bit big. You soon went odds on in running. That was the problem again, you mentioned it. Pull again green, first time at Cheltenham. Last time his jumping was too big again at the last. But the patiently ridden Railway Hurricane, he came into it. He looked all over the winner to see what he went in running, Railway Hurricane. He went as short as 1.24.
There's a
As he uses the whip, he stops.
Yeah, but there's a
Yeah.
reason why there's a lot of 2s and 3s in that horse's
You mentioned
form.
get the ones on book and then...
I don't think that horse necessarily loves being in front. I mean, he's got the blinkers. The form figures tell a
Hurricane.
story, don't they? Yeah, I think he's place only in future.
How long did he spend at number 1? Just a 1 week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The cross-country race, as we were calling it, is over then. This is there anything... I mean, is this a horse that can go on?
He's got a lovely mark of 126, and you'd say watching that 3 mile, I think, would be right up his street.
Am I right in thinking that most of Chris Gordon's horses just love decent ground? He's a trainer that used to inherit horses from Nichols, famously,
used
that
to
had
buy
back
the cast
problems.
off.
Isn't he also the trainer who got flooded out? Didn't his stable used to be underwater? Do you remember? He trains on
That was
Sunset.
Carl Gray.
Who?
Carl Gray, trainer in the
Carl
West
Gray, of
Country.
course it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, maybe they like
That's
good.
your neck of the woods,
That's my
isn't
neck
it?
of the woods. He's Sussex way, Chris Gordon.
Got some
Yeah,
nice horses,
he's-
like Orcon
He's
Risk.
sharp, isn't he? this guy?
The
Yeah, I think
highways.
he's progressive, yeah.
He had the winner at Ascot, didn't he, of that decent valuable handicap? Again, Lord Baddesley's come out and shown what he can do. He's got some decent bumper horses as well. Chris Gordon, and again, lively individual.
Decent. Yeah, he is.
He gives you
lively
a good
individual.
quote for, I think, Twitter. I think his wife might have taken him off social media because he would be a little bit...
We ummed and ahed about getting him on this show.
think he'd be
we,
fine.
we just thought
Yeah.
we thought we needed
I think he'd
maybe
be
a
a
bleep
bit
machine.
dangerous.
No, don't worry about that.
You don't think so?
No,
you blew that up, didn't you, on your first appearance?
Take a chance.
Yeah, all right. Well, okay, Chris, if you're listening. Now, Gavin Cromwell's had 2 runners at the meeting so far. One that looked like it was handicapped to its best, that thing, and it very nearly won. And he's had the winner of the first that ran at Ferryhouse just 3 days later. So anything that Gav Cromwell is running at the moment, especially at the meeting.
But you could put 14 stone on that horse and he'd still run like that.
You think so?
Yeah, I just don't think he... Do
He's
you
dogged
agree,
it.
James? He just doesn't look a horse who
You
particularly
can see
likes
why he's
being
got
in
the
front.
headgear.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he actually had a lovely gap at the rail, which normally for that kind of horse would give him a little bit of extra encouragement to go by. And
Like
he
we saw
still
with
didn't.
Fugitive after he hung and then he came back and
Yeah.
in the first race that we covered. You're right actually thinking about that, and obviously Exchangeland thought that was going to be the case as well because he went as low as 1.2
But
as well.
if you look in his career, he's 24 jumps races, 2 wins, 4 seconds, 4 thirds. You know, he's not a winning machine, but he's a very consistent horse. I mean, he's got an engine.
And Il Supali, who messaged in, is going to be screaming at the TV now, thinking, "Oh, thanks, lads." You know what I mean? I've got one that doesn't actually win, but listen, the pair have come clear. How much does he go up for that? Do you think? I'm not surprised. Probably mark in the low 130s.
Yeah, I'd say 7. I'd put him up.
Or could he be next year's Paddy Power horse?
Not quite quick enough, I don't think.
This is
I think
a breeding ground for winners of the Paddy Power.
Possibly, but it's more when it was an open novice. He's won this off 126. He's not quite. If this was an open race, he wouldn't have won it.
Good
that way.
tactics, wasn't it, bouncing him out like
Yeah,
that?
of course
Just-
it was.
yeah.
But both the first 2 winners have made all, haven't they? Good commentary though. This boy's.
You like it?
I think Danny's got
This
a big
kid's
career.
got- yeah.
I've seen you commentate on a D3 at Crayford on
Glamour.
on the dog
That's
channel.
where they all learn how to do it
Now
properly,
he's-
though,
he's,
isn't it?
he's made that bridge
You know,
from dogs to horses.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
very
where
good.
that's where I started. You know, learning my trade. The fact I did it probably only for about 2 years tells a very, very tall story.
Where did your TV career begin, Danny?
I started here when I was 15. I had work experience doing racing posts. Yeah, I did a week
remember that.
with Tony Smurthwaite.
I don't remember that.
It's under your reign.
Yeah, that was
nice.
You're not-
Memorable
you're not meeting
appearance.
the other side at the time.
I saw your door and I thought I'd stay away, scared.
Was Bruce the editor at the time?
Yeah, I think I was like
Oh,
15, so 15, 11 years ago.
Wow.
Bruce is like, where's this boy come from?
No,
Turns out we had a
good.
chance.
It's good.
Yeah.
But no, racing posts are really good for giving young. I've seen a load of people who've had work experience who've
yeah.
been given the opportunity. I think it's important. A lot of people talk about racing and
Well, the
getting into
BHA
sport.
chairman, Joe Salmon Smith, he did
Yes.
some stuff. Nick Smith
Good
at
shout.
Ascot.
Lizzie Kelly.
Lizzie Kelly's done stuff here, yeah, loads. We've had a lot through in the past.
All
yeah.
under your wing.
Yeah, and we've
Even
got
the
loads
the less memorable
We've
ones.
got loads of great young talent as well. So no, I'm sure Danny's got it all. He's
Yeah,
got
a
it all
matter
in
of time
front
before
him.
someone snaps him up.
Absolutely.
Just wait. I've got another 20 years though.
That's
Danny,
all right,
if you
no
don't
worries. I just wanted to say Tom Cannon. I mean, he had a great season with Edwardstone, but really he's been given that chance, Bannon King, and I think even still with Chris Gordon, he's grabbed it with both hands.
He knows his links as well, because it's going to be a double on Sunday for Tom Cannon, isn't it? Edwardstone.
Eddie will win.
I think Eddie wins.
Definitely.
And I fancy him in the Great One as well.
3-1, I
Who's he
think.
got in the Great
On
One?
Harbour Lake for Kingy.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
chance.
every chance
Excellent
there.
Kevin Morley is going to give that a good
Oh,
nod.
is he? Yeah.
which you can pick up in
Are
the
you
Great
not
One.
having
He's a
any?
new babe.
I'm Nube Negra.
Yeah, quite a lot
I
of.
thought
Robbie
it was
Wiles
a
is
weak,
convinced as well.
a
of
weak
Nube
novice group last year.
Edwardstone is one that is very underrated.
Well,
He'll keep proving people
I
wrong.
spoke to Dan Skelton this morning, and you can check it out later on What a Shout when it comes out, but it's fair to say he's in a good place.
Handicapper gives him £1 clear even with a £3 penalty. 165 Nube Negra, 161 Edwardstone, but odds on is Alan King's horse at the
It's
moment.
his race, probably, isn't it? Of course, he won it last year, but he'll skip off the
Whose
ground.
race?
Nube.
Yeah.
But
Look at what he beat last year. All right, he beat a gone Politolog,
Yeah.
a gone Put the Kettle On, and a gone Rouge Vif.
Now, James, counter that, because this is quite an interesting moment for last year's novices. You don't think the novices were very good last year, hence the fact an 8-year-old won the Arkle.
Well, Third Time Lucky was his main rival in the British races. The Arkle itself, Gabby Nako was back in second. Do you really remember
It was
him?
a strange
Is that another
Arkle.
Gavin Cromwell?
Yeah.
It was all about Fernie Hollow, wasn't it?
Yeah, then he
And
came
he
out.
didn't turn up. Now, he does come back this weekend. Who's been looking at the Irish cards out there? There are some sexy cards in Ireland. I'll tell you what, some of the Moran, I wanted to call them Morans. Morans? The Morons. The Morons.
I don't think you can...
But Gordon Elliott is having a full-on assault. It used to be this weekend that Willie got all his decent novices out, but he's still waiting for the... And they've moved the Morgiana. The Morgiana used to be this Sunday, way back when. So next weekend we're expecting Willie's battalion to come out. But Gordon's got loads of very interesting horses, some Gigginstown horses as well. They paid a lot of money for. They reinvested. And you're talking about horses that are coming back. 3 Stripe Life, that's my horse to follow for the season. He makes his debut over fences tomorrow. We've got Hollow Games coming out. And we got the Lismullen Hurdle as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
Flooring Porter, Bob Ollinger.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we start having a little look at this? And your pal's in there as well.
Who?
Come on. One of your greatest moments on this show isn't run since.
Who?
Have you had a great moment with Tiapu?
Oh, Commander of Fleet.
Yes!
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100
yes.
to 1, yeah.
He must have had a hard race that day,
Yeah,
didn't he? If you haven't seen that
absolutely.
clip, it's out there. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, hot topic time coming up in between the races. They've been working hard on this, as you can see, all week. And Flooring Porter, Zanahir, Bob Ollinger. Is it Bob? It is Bob Ollinger. We've
I go
established now.
Gur, but I know it's not. It's very much in the same as Jigginstown.
I mean, he is one of the biggest talking horses we've ever had. Wasn't it great to see Envoy Allen, by the way, talking about
That
talking
was
horses
really
again?
good, yeah. That was really good because he'd gone down there, he'd gone into that bucket of Sam Crow, of all these, the next great thing that suddenly
You're going to
weren't.
see Sam Crow back in at Hunter Chase, aren't you? The Fox Hunters or whatever it's
He's a
called.
shoo-in for that, isn't he?
But, I mean, Bob, unfortunately, I think he's gone.
Well,
Betfair 6-4, Bob Ollinger.
is that what they're playing on the spot? Is that the
Sportsbook.
Sportsbook opening price? Now, Gav Cromwell, you see how
Gav'd him.
I've gaffed him. I like
I
Gav
don't-
Sheehan.
I
You used to
don't
pull me up
think
on
he'd
that as
like
well.
Gav.
I wouldn't
I've
gav
gaffed him.
No,
I've
I'd
gaffed
be
him.
very careful.
I
That's
reckon
as
he's- I reckon
dangerous
he's
as
gav.
That's as very dangerous
I
as
don't
Willie
think so.
Haggis. You can't Willie Haggis.
No. William
Yeah,
Mullins.
I wouldn't.
Johnny G.
Johnny
gav
G.
him.
Johnny G. I think Johnny G's all right. Well, I'm all right. Gavin Cromwell has had 2 runners today at Cheltenham. Nearly won our previous race, and somehow something 3 days later just comes out. I mean, that can't have been the plan. But I mean, Flooring Porter, who hasn't got a great record first time out, but he's a dual Stayers Hurdle winner, and he's not favourite to beat Bob.
No, he's 11-4. 6-4, Bob Ollinger. 11-4, Flooring Porter. Zanahir 7-2. 8's and bigger the rest. Ashdale Bob.
Isn't that interesting?
I'll get involved because I've got to take Bob Ollinger on. I mean,
So-
after those 2 runs, that's it, isn't it?
Again, we keep referencing our great pullout, the big jump of I got given the intermediate division 2nd year in a row.
Have you
Ex-colleagues
not
were
got
mocking
influence?
me. It is the toughest
Have you not- I
division
thought you could,
by a mile. No, Tom Bark and Graham Rodway, it was their idea of a joke. And they gave it to me late as well. By this point, Melrose has nicked all the Gold Cup horses. Rodway's nicked all the champion chase horses, and I'm stuck in the middle with what I can get. Now, of course, you've got Allaho. You think, right, okay, you know, any odds against at the minute, it's probably going to be his race. But then this guy was suggested to me as maybe being the biggest danger. Me and Parky talked about this, you know, Tom Parker edits it. And you had to sort of think, if he came back, Bob.
For what? The Ryanair?
Yeah. But if he came back, I mean,
How's he going to come back?
He doesn't like fences.
How's he going to come back?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? So the fact he's now
Once that engine blows like that...
Do you think it has blown?
Yeah, of course it has.
Because he did actually win at Cheltenham.
Have they come... Oh, come off it. Don't be ridiculous. The most hollow victory in the history
He's
of
a
the
prolific
festival.
horse. Listen, I don't want to be the one that's talking about Bob
He did actually win.
I've got to play devil's advocate here because you remember that we did a live extra show for this last November. In this month last year, we did some Monday Night Live extras. You'd like to see them back. They were great, weren't they? And Rodway comes on. We didn't have a guest that week. We thought, let's just try it and see what it's like with an in-house guest. Who do we get, Graham Rodway? He comes on, he went, 10 times out of 10, Brave Man's Game would jump the life out of Bob Ollinger. Bit like that.
Is that your impression of Graham Rodway?
And think about Michael Caine and you get the Chelmsford startlet. And he got absolutely taken to pieces on Twitter. Not for the first time, obviously.
Yeah, but he just leads
But he was right. Bob couldn't jump. And if they didn't have Honeysuckle in that division, in that camp, right, he would have gone for champion hurdle after he won that Ballymore. I'm almost certain of it. And here he is, back over hurdles. Now, he can't go champion hurdle route because he got Honeysuckle. Right, so is he now sort of like... And he's favourite on Sunday to beat a dual stayers hurdle winner. It shows how popular the horse is. They're ducking him immediately.
Does he stay 3 miles? So for a stayers hurdle?
Very good
He
question.
looked to have a lot of pace.
I'm not sure it was just a dislike of fences because I mean, you know,
Tongue tie at punches down. It was terrible, wasn't it?
He carried his head as though he's a horse that's got a win problem. Now, race and post, I don't know if it's different in Ireland because in Britain we have to declare if they've had wind surgery. I don't know if that's the case in Ireland because it's not coming up on the race and post form guide that he's had wind surgery since we last saw him. So they have a better tongue tie on him, as you say, with Punchdown where he showed zero life whatsoever. Best watched, I'd be
What was the stable tour comment?
To oppose him.
What about Bob?
Yeah.
It must have been... Well, look, you've seen what he's done with NYLN, who kind of looked like he'd gone after that fall in the Turners or the Marsh or whatever, and he's got him back to win, you know, 2 Grade 1s. All right, he nicked one over Christmas probably, but they can get these horses back. I'm looking at him. He's a course and distance winner, of course. First time out might be the time to get him. I don't know, he's 7 from 9. I know that he should be 6 from 9, really, because of Galopan and all that sort of thing. He was the biggest banker we've known for years going into last seasons. And people would... If you watch back some of the clips out there on Racing Twitter of people in the crowd going, oh, I've done my dough, and then all of a sudden, yes, we always knew.
But he struggled to walk up the hill.
Yeah, he did.
It was the other two.
And he went to Punchestown, 6-5 favourite, over 3 miles, and he hardly raised the leg in a first-time tongue tie. Has he had a win? We haven't seen a win up.
It's not coming up on the
Do you
thing.
have to declare in Ireland?
It might be slightly different over there. So
we don't know. We'll hopefully find out. Our roving reporters will no doubt get stuck into that. Okay, so Florian Porter.
What about Zanahiyr?
Who wins? So Zanahiyr is quite interesting because I always find that the juveniles struggle at 5. He runs a really good race last year, and they usually want a trip. So he is quite interesting, isn't he? But I don't know. He's getting £4. It should be very close between him and Florian Porter, says Andy. We've got Sire de Burley and Ashdale Bob, who of course ran a massive race, one commander of the fleet. It's a really good race.
he'd be my cheeky each way at 8-1. Ashdale Bob.
Look. I've got to, it's the Racing Bloggers come on, and he's having a bit.
He's having a go at you, Bruce.
I've got to disagree with you here, Bruce. The beauty of Cheltenham is its weekday pilgrimage for all of us who love racing. This is about a 5-day festival.
Yeah.
They dug this back out.
But you could do into Saturday, Wednesday.
If anyone
Saturday.
wants a day off, surely they can book it in like the rest of us. Plus, Gold Cup Day is unbearable with crowds on a Friday as it stands already. What do we make of that?
Does he not live in the real world? Blogger, just because you go marauding around the place as you like it, some people live in the real world. They have jobs, they're nurses, they're school teachers, they work in offices. They can't just go off to Cheltenham just like how they want it. Live in the real world, man.
Yeah, it's getting very expensive as well to go.
I love
there
the
as well.
blogger, but he's
I was
wrong.
going to say, you met him, didn't you?
He's great. He's
You
really
told me
funny.
about this.
He's really funny. I like him very much indeed. And I know he gets a lot of stick, but for me, he's a guy who's got off his arse
Yeah.
and he's done well for himself, and I think he makes me laugh, and I think he's good for the game. So I've got nothing against him, but he's wrong on that point.
Let's hope you're watching that then, Stephen. There you go. All right, fair play. But listen, that's what it's all about, strong opinions. Let's have it. And no more stronger opinions than you get at Cheltenham, right? That's how it is. So whatever we think. I mean, you look at the prices now. Oh, God, we could go on about this and on and on.
Oh, we're not doing £7.50 Guinness in a paper cup now.
No, we're not going to, because if you go to, I don't know, Crystal Palace, how much is a beer there at half time?
It's actually £5 a pint.
So, all right, okay. So Twickenham are getting
But
a bad
I went
name as well,
to
aren't
a
they?
concert at Wembley recently, and it was £8.50 a pint.
Yeah,
£8.50.
Coldplay, yeah, £8.50.
Coldplay.
And I
You,
think-
you would want a beautifully smooth pint for that, wouldn't you? Was it? It's probably, I
No.
can't say the name of it, but it's probably water, is it?
Does anyone care what you drink out of? I mean, what?
Guinness
that's
out
the
of
one
a
thing
paper cup is a bit of an odd
It
one,
is a
isn't
bit fiendish, yeah.
Is it?
Fiendish.
I bet if I pour a pint of Guinness into a glass and a pint of Guinness into a paper cup and blindfold you, you won't be able to tell the difference. It's not like paper dissolves into the Guinness, is it, or anything? You know, I mean, I don't get that.
It was. I think it was just such a stark contrast to what people have been. I suppose eco-wise they're looking at it as well, aren't they? A little bit.
Well, you can
because all these
recycle
plastic
them,
cups,
can't you?
isn't it?
Look, I think the £7.50 is the issue, not the paper cup.
That is £7.50.
It was more going to be the
It's London
prices.
price.
The prices to stay at Cheltenham I was going to talk about.
Well, they're through the roof, aren't
I mean,
they? Yeah,
what is
they're
it
crazy.
like? 200 quid on an average weekend, a non-racing weekend in the Holiday Inn or whatever. And if you wanted to book, let us know how much you pay.
But that's not the course's fault, of course, is it?
It's not. It's Cheltenham's fault. But Cheltenham say, you know, we want a fifth day because of the commercial gain and all that sort of thing. We missed out through to. Is this not the Cheltenham people's fault for putting these prices?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's the hoteliers.
And if you're going to have a fifth day as well,
But you're not having a fifth
Well,
day.
we're
now.
not.
That's done.
No, we're not.
Calm down, Dave.
All right.
Don't
Is
worry
that
about
not a problem?
But think of the Irish coming over 5 days. It's almost you just can't afford it in this.
Is that not a problem just in general? I mean, one of our esteemed producers, a big Eurovision fan, look at the prices to stay in Liverpool for how they've gone through.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it just
market
Is that where
forces,
it's just
isn't it?
market force.
Is that where the next one's going to be? In Liverpool?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
so
I don't-
Copenhagen is a bit cheaper.
Can you stop that in Cheltenham?
Everything's
I don't think you
expensive,
can.
isn't it? Did you? And there was a really good feature, by the way. I must give a shout out to one of our young reporters, Charlie Huggins. Did a brilliant feature where he went to the students' race day at Aintree last week.
Right.
And he really got stuck in and spoke to loads of the students.
Nice.
And they all loved it. They all had a great time. There's that company, isn't it, that buses students in from around the place. They all said they had a
move,
fantastic time, but they just said, look, £6 a pint. We can't afford that. We don't pay that. In the student union, you get it for next to nothing.
Yeah,
don't
of
you?
course.
So,
Yeah.
so that was the real
So you
killer
ought to
for
have a
them.
student card and you ought to sort of replicate it when they
Well,
have
look,
those
I mean, if
days.
you're going to invite students in, you're going to get a load of people through the door. Why don't you just put a separate bar for them and make it a little bit cheaper, potentially, you know?
What,
That's
you'd have
quite
people
expensive.
like me, do you know what I mean? So like,
Well, yeah,
having a
that's
shave and going,
Yeah.
fake ID.
Yeah. With a Smashing Pumpkins T-shirt on.
Pay some tax, yeah, exactly. Them
That's
were
quite
the
expensive
days.
for a pint in Liverpool, £6. Usually a bit cheaper up there.
I don't. Well, it's the
Careful.
Racecourse, isn't
There'll be
it?
a social spike mentioning Liverpool on this. We can see Chris Gordon being interviewed at the moment. Yeah, so that was great to see unanswered prayers for the guys in the studio as well. So we were 2 races down. The guys have had the winners on as well. I suppose I should move this
It should
little
be in the
trophy
middle,
on.
yeah.
Should
Yeah,
I?
we got
Do you
done
wanna
there,
have it?
didn't we?
We did.
Well away from you.
The Live Cup. It's all about the Paddy Power Gold Cup. What wins the showpiece tomorrow, guys? What wins the List Muddle and Hurdle? You've heard from us. We're talking Tosh. Does Bob just come back and still be the second coming and all that sort of thing? Let us know. We've got all weekend to answer that. We want to know some tips maybe from the guys. Do you fancy winning the Paddy Power Gold Cup off the top of your head? got a short
very,
list.
very dull. I'd just go Stolen Silver. I just think he ticks pretty much every box. And if you're getting plenty of extra places, I can't really see him out of the 5.
He's
so-
in my 3.
Yeah.
He's in my 3. And you like him, Archer, as well.
Stolen Silver. I had to give a shout out. Paul Nichols interviewed yesterday. He was working yesterday, and he said simply the bets. They've never had him better.
I mean, I've
And
heard that now for 5 years.
I know he's got the great David Maxwell on, but I just thought that was interesting in terms of Nichols highlighting one there. But no, Stolen Silver for me as well. Garlaw is an interesting one, given he ran well in the old Roan, but I'd probably be taking him on at the price.
The 2 favourites in the race have never run at Cheltenham. One of them's Irish trained. There's only been, I think, 2 winners of the Ice race.
It's difficult,
From
isn't
Ireland.
it, Dave? Because you know that 1,000 tiers, because of the connections
that's
and
the
what they do.
Greatwood you're talking about.
Oh, sorry, Greatwood.
Yeah,
pardon
no,
me.
let's not go on that. It's Paul Burns, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was jumping the
Shunter
gun.
Mark too.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you with that? Did
You
you
can't
see it?
How can you?
Can't be backing it at that price.
How can you know?
You're backing the trainer.
He
not
loved the
yourself.
ground.
Yeah,
He
but
loved the
it's
ground.
one of those races where if you back it, you could end up thinking, what was I doing looking at the form? It cannot be 4-1. And if you oppose it, it can win 20 lengths.
It's one of those that if you don't back it and you sort of like, well, I can see this, but if it loses, you feel a bit dirty.
He might make the book each way, so I'd take him on each way with other things and be fully prepared to see him win.
Yeah, all right. 2 great handicaps coming your way then. 2.20 on Saturday's Paddy Power Gold Cup. And like I say, get your tips in. Let's hear from you out there. Let's move on though, shall we? To a new race. It is Glenfarclas, who of course usually sponsor the cross countries, but probably the average age in cross country is around about 14, isn't it? So we got the vets coming out. Everyone loves a Veterans Day, none more than our own Paul Keeley. And he said this card needs an extra race. It should be here to stay. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, got no problem with it at all. I mean, I think it's good work by Cheltenham because obviously they knew from a very early stage that the cross country course would be too firm for this to happen. So they've stuck this up, and we've got a load of old favourites. We've got a Welsh Grand National winner. We've got a Champion Bumper winner.
Yeah.
We've got loads of old favourites in here. It's kind of interesting that they've made it 2.5 miles. I don't know whether it appeared in the calendar as 3.5 miles because most of these are absolute dour stayers. So I think it's interesting. It might actually pave the way for a decent bet. But if you want to do the lads first,
it's all about the final at Sandown, and you'll see that in the quotes. In there, they'll say, "Well, we're aiming at the final" and all that sort of thing, which is of course off the stayers. But James, what's the market saying? Ballyandy, I'm assuming, is still fav.
Yeah, only really one in the market, 3.85 Ballyandy. Actually, the money horse of the day is the infuriating Magic Dancer, 5.1. Doesn't win very often. St Xavier, talking about the Hobson form, much better this time around. He's 7.8, 8.2. Cardo Rico. 9s is the old boy Elegant Escape, the class angle in the race, and he was the tentative angle and what I thought was tricky, bearing in mind Ballyandy hasn't got the best of chase records. So at 9, I'm just going to have the £10 win on Elegant Escape and hope the old boy can keep up in the early stages. That will be the negative. We're going to see him on our screens in front of us, looking big enough for his first run the season.
Is he? Go and teach me, because I'm notoriously hopeless at telling one horse from another. So when
from the TV screen, it's a little bit harder, but you can't see any ribs on him. Like the stay-in chases.
Is it that simple? You just look for ribs?
Then you can see if they're carrying any extra fat, I suppose. If you go between jump horses and flat horses, the jump horses are so much more narrower, skinnier, because they're running out a bit further. They're that bit fitter than the flat horses. I think on Taunton yesterday, Dancing Harry, the ex-flat horse from Roger Teals, against Paul Nichols's novice at 1 Rhubarb, they were chalk and cheese. You could see the ex-flat race, they're just carrying that bit more condition.
You just think horse is horse, don't you?
All the same. The only difference is those ones are brown and there was a grey one, that's it.
But he's that bit older, like everyone when they get a bit older, they'd carry a bit more condition for their first run.
What about that one, number 5, Native Robin?
I'd say he's probably carrying a bit as well, the 12-year-old for Jeremy Scott, who had a fantastic year last year. But yeah, the problem with this race, so it wasn't in the calendar, because obviously the cross-country chase was the original plan. They've been a little bit fortunate that Sandown was off on Sunday because there was a veterans qualifier.
Ballyandy was supposed to run it.
Exactly. Yeah. So this race wouldn't have been on anyone's radar because it didn't exist until 10 days, 2 weeks ago. And that's why I think you've just mentioned a lot of 3 mile, 3.5 mile horses are in it, because they lost the Sandown opportunity.
That or nothing.
And then there's here the race at Cheltenham on the showcase meeting. So,
but not only, James, is it a trip shorter than a lot of them would like, but there's a few mudlarks in here as well.
Yeah, and the ground could be too quick for a few of them. That's what, for me, I really had question marks and jumping for quite a few of them. St Xavier, Cardo Rico. Ballyandy's come to Cheltenham 3 times over fences and he once got round. But he looked, first time in 4 years at Perth, finishing 3rd. That was a step in the right direction. I thought this was really tricky. Market says Ballyandy and Magic Dancer, the 2 that are strong.
I couldn't believe that Elegant Escape was as big as he was, which makes you slightly worried about it in contrast to their earlier.
You're in shock, aren't you?
Well, no, I just can't get my head around Elegant Escape winning over 2.5 on good ground at the November meeting.
This is a horse that's won a Welsh National, of course, and then finished second to Frodon and ran in the Gold Cup in 2019.
So he's running 2 Gold Cups.
Yeah, he has. He looked like he. Yes, of course, both by an Albert Frodon in 2020 as well.
That's a good racing lookalike, by the way, isn't it? Jeremy Scott and Roy Hodgson.
Very good. You've spoken to him as well, haven't you? He's a nice chap, isn't he?
Yeah, lovely fella, yeah. Very nice. Very nice, man.
Him.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No, Jeremy, I said.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, you did. Yeah,
he's definitely not.
Again, these jump trainers aren't really abbreviated.
Yeah.
It was good to see his horse come back and win at Aintree last weekend, wasn't it?
The old boy, Dashel Drasher.
Dashel Drasher, of
He's
course.
a lovely horse, isn't he?
Beautiful
I mean, I
animal.
know that one of them fell early on, but he's a good horse.
He'll go back for the Chanel Farmers and all that sort of thing, won't it? Right, a quote from, looks like Chris Gordon coming in. Jack Haynes, one of the quickest off the mark with these quotes that we get at the track. I love the way unanswered prayers jump, said Chris. He's a 3-mile chaser in the making.
Yep.
And he might need some headgear in time to keep his mind on the job. Whew.
He was a little bit wandery into a few of the fences early doors.
He loved a bit of company, looked like he was running around a bit.
Yeah.
Come on, Danny's got all these notes, all this prep. Look at all this.
He rarely
Absolutely
uses them, Bruce. I
superb.
think
He's
it's
so
rubbish.
conscientious.
It
So
didn't
come
do him
on.
any good when he was an intern, did it?
What have you said? I remember him well.
I was out after a week.
Brilliant, absolutely. My career's gone. When we invited you back onto this show, you must have gone, I told you, Mum. Fantastic. Come on in, Arch.
Magic Dancer for me. I know James' concerns about lack of wins, but his 2 from 8 over fences also goes well on this ground. But also for me, I thought the biggest thing was goes well first time out for Kerry Lee. She can get one ready first time out with the likes of what was the one? Storm Control and another
Storm
one. There's
Control.
another couple
Purple
like
and
that,
yellow.
which have won.
Storm Control.
So yeah, I just thought it was worth taking being with here. Puerto Rico is interesting, but I think I'd have the same concerns as James. Didn't look like he was in love with the game last year.
She's been very quiet, Kerry Lee, because unlike Chris Gordon, who associated with good ground, her horses love the
That used to
slop.
be
Yeah.
Mountainous, the old
Richard
Welsh
Lee,
national
yeah.
dogs in the soft ground. I've sat next to Kerry when Magic Dancer's been running, and she can get frustrated by him in the finish because he perhaps doesn't quite always give his all. But easy win at Ludlow last seen, and he's got the ability. I think 5 years ago
He's
he
got
won
good hurdles form
handicap
here.
hurdle here at the
Yeah.
Big
He
City.
did. I like him as well. I think he wins.
Magic Dancer for Andy Sim as well. Oh,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I do. I just think he's a 2.5 miler and he likes the ground and he's, I just think he's got a lot going for him. I think the other lot will they barely realise they're in a race when they're turning in. It's,
We could be seeing 2 groups forming almost, like you see in sprints here, but a native Robbie each way as well for the informed Jezza Scott.
Who are you
for
going
Andy
for
Sim.
again?
I'm with Ballyandy. I thought he would just outspeed them a little bit.
He's only 2 wins at Cheltenham, been his first 2 runs at Cheltenham, both bumpers.
Those fences races that you equated to, that was when he was a novice, and they knew immediately.
4 years of not going back
He's
over
got
fences.
very good hurdles for me. I think he just put it together. He's become a very likeable horse.
I do love him. I think he's a great old horse.
Yeah, and again, while he stays further, Charlie Borg comes back on. Great name. It says 2 chases so far, both won by a horse jumping off in front and jumping well. You think Magic Dance will lead? Native Robin is another that could lead as well. I'll tell you who's going to tell us will lead. It'll be Bruce Millington in the Vets Chase.
Okay, 2.5 miles is the trip, and the flag is up. And when it's down, they'll be off. They're miles away, but they're just jogging in now, so it's all good. Nice, clean, level break. And among the first to show are Elegant Escape and also Broken Quest as they steady up to meet the first fence. Nice and fresh is Saint Xavier and Elegant Escape. The old boy is out in front. He's not going to be caught napping here, I don't think, creeping up on the inside. There going well is Native Robin. And as they're over the second, it's still Elegant Escape from Native Robin. From St Xavier, and on the outside we've got Broken Quest, and then in behind them we've got Magic Dancer and Ballyandy, and then behind that is the old grey Another Emotion, and finally we've got the outside of My Manikienko. I'll have a practice of that while James tells us all about the early market moves.
Sounds like something you'd order in a Japanese restaurant, doesn't it? My Manakanigo.
They're stronger for Ballyandy, is now 2.98. Nice slot in third place. The one that's drifted a bit is Saint Xavier. Hasn't got to the front. He's drafted out to 10s for Lily Pinchin and Richard Hobson.
Anything catch your eye, Arch?
No, I think they're all going pretty, fine really. Saint Xavier's the only one who's a little bit keen. I'm happy enough with Magic Dancer in midfield. No real changes, Bruce.
Puerto Rico's interesting. Again, Brian Hughes. We're going to see Brian a lot. I mean, and again, loads of people shouting, why is a champion jockey not all doing it? So look, he has ridden Cheltenham Festival winners, of course. He had a terrible record until Mr. Whittaker got over the line. But I think, Kill said he's really good fresh. And he has, unlike Malistic, Brian's first ride of the day, this guy's got himself into a lovely rhythm. I mean, all of these vets should jump all right, shouldn't they? Maybe Ballyandy.
I'm afraid the only one is my selection, Elegant Escape.
Yeah, Elegant
because
Escape
he's
jumping off the
probably
right, isn't
just out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Are you double bluffing it already?
I'm out to 18.5. I think the £10 bet's gone.
I don't know about that.
That's
you're in
very
profit.
pessimistic, that.
I know, we've got circuit to go. It's like those people that went odds on the previous one.
And they went
Broken
on one.
Quest is
They
a
went
good
on one,
horse.
Mr. Orton.
What, is that right? All right, fair enough. Oh, at the moment I said that, Warren Greatress's another emotion whacked one as well. Let's watch them then. This will be
Magic
the final
Dancer fav at the moment, although he won't be after that. That wasn't a very clever leap in fourth.
Still 3.6, 4.5.
If you all had to be on one now, who would it be? I think I'd go for Puerto Rico if I was looking at it.
I'll stick with Magic Dancer.
I'm sticking with mine as well, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy if I was you two, to be honest.
Ballyandy's going fine on the inside. Those got the inside, so that's good. Right, anyway, they're setting off. They're just jumping that uphill fence in front of the... what's that stand called?
What's it called? The Centex? Or no,
it's not the Centaur.
Isn't it?
Centaur, no.
Oh, right.
Anyway, they're going out on their final circuit, a native Robin. They're very clustered up front. We have split into two groups. The front group consists of native Robin, and now being taken on the outside by St Xavier.
Oh dear.
In behind those are
That's a good jump by Ballyandy
Broken Quest and Ballyandy, and Elegant Escape is hanging on to that lot. Magic Dancer was the oh dear there, Danny, because it wasn't a great
on
jump.
landing.
Okay, well that's right. I never mind a peck because I don't lose momentum. Puerto Rico tacking onto that front group of 6 now and trying to do so as well is another emotion, and the My Manienko out the back. So they're continuing their journey before they start going uphill. And St Xavier's definitely grabbed it. Well, I say
look at Elegant Escape.
Elegant Escape's been rousted now. What's the latest in the market? I would imagine Magic Dancer's taken a move in the wrong direction.
Yeah, out to 10s, Magic Dancer. 2.72, Ballyandy. The Santos Nevis quite happy on the inside. 70s now, Elegant Escape. Poor horse is hard at work.
Okay, Native Robin and Rex Dingler on the inside, going well on the outside of San Xavier with Lily Pinchin and then Ballyandy and also Broken Quest. Then comes Magic Dancer on the inside, going nicely, Brian Hughes and Puerto Rico. And then Elegant Escape was just beginning to get detached from the leaders, and it looks grim as well for another emotion. And My Manienko. So up front, we've still got Native Robin and St Xavier duking it out.
Here we go. The winners in
from
third here, boys.
Broken Quest and Ballyandy, who's really nicely poised. And then we've got Magic Dancer, and those 5 have broken clear. It looks like the winner's going to come from them because Puerto Rico's just been tapped for toe. Who wins it from here, James Millman?
Ballyandy 2.58, but he is just starting to come under the cosh.
Good jump here, and we'll get this, I think.
Who'd you fancy, Arch?
I'd probably be with Broken Quest at the minute. I think Ballyandy's starting to struggle as well now.
Lily Pinchin's going
San
beautifully
Xavier's
on
the
San
one.
Xavier, yeah.
Xavier hits favourite as they approach the home turn.
This is a horse that made Paul Nichols tear his hair out, I think.
We're not out of this, Bruce.
No, we're not out of it. We're not.
Come on, Ballyandy.
There's 5 can win it, I think. But Native Robin is dogged on the innie.
Come
will
on, the
not
Bally.
get past. And here comes on the outside Broken Quest with
Come on,
Stan
get this up the
Shepherd
inside,
going.
I think.
Ballyandy's on the inside and
Fill your
Magic
lungs, boy.
Dancer is in 5th.
Ah!
All 5 have got
Come
a
on
chance.
then, Rich.
Come on in. Here we go. Magic Dancer
on,
coming on
Bally.
the outside to challenge Broken
Get
Quest
him,
as they
Sam, at
come to
the
the
last.
last. Broken Quest first.
Go on,
in the air.
Rich.
Huge jumper. Here comes Magic Dancer on the inside, plugging away
got it,
Stan
lads.
Xavier. But here comes Magic Dancer.
putting
Magic
himself
Dancer.
up.
He doesn't look like he wants to kick too far
keep him
clear.
going, Rich.
He's just got to keep going. Richard Patrick and Magic Dancer are going to cross the line in front by 1 length from Broken Quest. Ballyandy stays on to take 3rd, and then it's San Xavier in 4th. Long gap back to, I think it could be Puerto Rico in 5th.
The panel are on fire. They high-five each other. It is a double for Danny Archer. Bruce Millington weighs in as well with the Conjurer, the Magic Dancer. It's like Richard Patrick was worried about his handicap mark going up the final running, wasn't it? Don't win too far. Don't win too far. I think he nearly pulled himself up. Did that cause a little spike?
Well, there was pennies at 44, 36, 27, £10 staked it up. But you guys weren't that happy 4 or 5 out.
So pessimistic.
I can see why he drifted.
Tickle in running.
But Ballyandy was one that was solid, and he didn't really pick up. Maybe
He wants further, doesn't he? He actually ran his best race over fences to date, I think. And look out for him in the final, Ballyandy. He just was coming back. He got tapped for toe. He missed the second last, but he winged it, didn't he? Magic Dancer. Kerry Lee's form has just been really quiet, but very well produced, this horse. And he'd be a tiny little thing now, this chap, in comparison to some of these guys. So there we go. All right, Magic Dancer would have been popular. Well done, Bruce.
Thank you. Broken Quest it didn't do himself any favours at the last. He just reached for that last one and just kind of over-jumped it. And he's only just got beat. He's got beat a length, and they're 3 lengths clear of Ballyandy, who's done a classic Ballyandy kind of run, really. Oh, look at the owner. Absolutely. She's in floods of tears. Look at that. That's what it means.
Yes.
To have a winner.
And especially the vets as well. New race, isn't it? You know, I wonder whether they were sort of plotting this. Has he won at this meeting before? You talk over
5 years ago.
Did he? Over hurdles?
Yeah, he did.
He won the boys' race under Richard. Be great to hear the comments from Richard after this, won't it, I think?
He's funny, Dave, isn't he? He goes, "Is this one at this meeting?" You go, "Yeah," and he tells you all about it.
I do seem to remember it now. It's all a bit of a blur in there. Okay, Magic Dancer, right. Well tipped up then for you on this panel. It's just me that needs to get one over the line now. But I've got another 2 days. A reminder, Saturday, 1:30. We will be back. Sunday, 1:30. We did the Sunday a couple of years ago in lockdown. Do you remember we had Keels on?
I worked on a Sunday.
You did. We got you in. There wasn't much else to do, actually. We went through that period in
lockdown, of course, yeah. I couldn't wait.
It was just me and you
Get me out
sometimes.
of the house.
Me, you and Bazza, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Basically,
I used to ask
absolutely.
if we were doing a show and it was just Sutherland Ludlow on a Monday. I was so
Did you ever
desperate
get
to
pulled
out of
up
the
when
house.
you were travelling here by the police or anything like that? Because we got given this card, didn't we, to say we were allowed to work? It was absolutely like 20 days later in London, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic.
I don't remember
the
that.
travel, of course, into London, that is. It does seem like a long time ago. But we did the Sunday. I remember Kills was in. And that was the Shunters' day in the Greatwood. You referenced the Greatwood a little bit. Is there anything else over the next 2 days that you're looking forward to seeing? I know it's off the top of me.
To be honest, Dave, it's one of those ones where you go into it with a bit of an open mind, keep your eyes open, look out for clues, because there's so much to learn, isn't there? I mean, I think we did a piece in the Racing Post about just how many Cheltenham Festival winners come out of this meeting, and the beauty of this meeting is that you don't go into it thinking, and this next race epitomises that.
Yeah.
You're not thinking these are proven horses, but there's so much potential in that field for the next race, isn't there? I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there.
Yes, I'm quite strong on a horse called Brazil running tomorrow in the Fishery Lane hurdle in Ireland.
Paddy Roach.
Paddy Roach's horse, and of course he's up against Phil
Dorr, yeah.
in the 4-year-old race. Now this thing that we're about to see in the next race, there's the Betfair SP then, you were told by the guys on the panel, about the forward of one shot on the exchange, the Betfair Exchange, that was Magic Dancer. But there you can see coming up next, Who Briscoe, who James will tell us is probably one of the plungers of the day. Are we looking a gift horse in the mouth here, guys? Willie Mullins hadn't had a runner at the October meeting since 2011, and he one representative. It goes off something like 11-2 Dad's Lad, and one who comes back. Is this just all over? I mean, if this thing wins by half the track, I mean, this would be way down the pecking order, you'd imagine, at Willie's. He's a sort of summary type horse, you know, and maybe a nice chase in the making. I could be completely wrong. He might want the trip.
It's a horrible price, isn't it?
But if he wins by half the track here, the rest of us may just give up.
He's not going to.
You don't think so? This is a lay.
I mean, he can win, but it's just a shocking price.
It's 2.62.
Terrible price.
64 on the sports.
I mean,
Is this DJ's nap of the weekend?
Yes, it is, yeah. DJ put him up on the postcards. Very, very keen on him. And he did point out that he might be Willie Mullins' 10th best novice, but that doesn't make you a bad horse, does it? Because Willie's got all the ammo. But
what did he say about Trip? Because that would be the question mark stepping up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. So
Right.
I can't back it. I mean, there's no form case to be made for backing it, is there? It's just all about the fact he's trained by a master. But you know, as we chronicle in the paper today, you know, he was never making much of an impact on this meeting. All of a sudden, he started targeting it with some success. Look, Willie Mullins is genius, so he may end up winning this, and he may be too good for them. But I mean, there's a ton of potential elsewhere. So I'd rather take the value elsewhere and hope that this thing won't just dot up.
Let's find out, shall we? James, give us the story of the market. Put your trade on for Betfair. Only 4 races today, would you believe it? What wins the last?
2.64 here, Briscoe, for Team Mullins. 4.1, Hermes Allen, £350,000 purchase for Paul Nicholls. Easy win at Stratford, but what did he achieve? And then the rest are on a drift. Collector's item is one that I don't like. I'm going to lay him for a place. He's 2.52 in the market. I'm going to lay him for, wrong one, press the pink button, 2.66 for £20, because I thought that was a weak race at Chepstow. He won. He lost out to the Twist and Davis horse at Newbury, and I think he is definitely a little bit vulnerable. So I'm laying collector's item for a place. Currently 2.58 to back and 2.64 to lay in that market. But the market is all strong. Hugh Briscoe, the only Mullins runner, I think, today at Cheltenham Showcase meeting. Strong in the market, 6.4 on the sportsbook and 2.6 on the exchange.
If you don't like a horse, as with collector's item there, James, do you go with the 2, or do you ever think I'm going to get greedy, go 3 and maybe even 4?
I kind of liked it, the fact there was 2 places, just in case one... We've got no proven form, have we, really? Music Drive's probably just solid one. I think we'll beat him. I don't really know what Nicholls' horse achieved at Stratford. I would probably play in a little bit safe, just because that Chepstow race wasn't a great contest. I didn't think the third horse for Christian Williams, Gladiators, has been beat further in weaker contests. So
How good do you think this race could be?
If the British horses want to be winning it quite cosily, I think, if they're going to have any figure come Cheltenham, because, as you say, Hibisco is probably not quite top 10 material at Team Mullins.
Should we have a look at the roll call of previous winners of this
Some
race?
good ones, isn't there?
There are. You've got to go back, man. I mean, Blazing Cal, we never got to see, did we? A lot of people were putting him up as an Albert Bartlett horse. Does He Know was a good horse. Did he all went wrong for him in the
the
challenge.
mad Kim Bailey
Time
one.
Hill. On the blind side, who at the time was a very good novice. We see him in the 3 mile handicap tomorrow. You got Creepy, do you remember him? And Coney Green.
Coney Green.
Under a very certain young jockey at the time.
Not the batch.
The Batch. He'll tell us about that about 20 times tomorrow when he comes on.
He was a veteran then.
Probably
wasn't
wasn't he?
2012.
Yeah, absolutely. Still riding Batch, believe it or not. But he's in on Saturday and Sunday. Hennessy winning jockey, of course, when the Bradstocks were having that absolute purple period. OK, so look, you can see them. Whether we see actually any festival winners there, probably not. Time Hill would have gone very close to winning a Albert Bartlett. In fact, he got beat by Monkfish, didn't he? Do you remember?
What did you think of the Chase debut? Alex,
Time
did you
Hill.
see him? I thought he wasn't a natural.
Very slow.
He's got to go for the 4 mile, or the National Hunt Chase. He's got to go for that, hasn't he? 9-year-old next year.
I'd say back.
He's not
back
going to win a
over
Proud
hurdles.
Advisory, is he?
You go back over
I
hurdles.
don't know if he's going to make it, to be honest. I think he might have 2 more goes over fences.
A lot of people talking him up after the Exeter win. A lot of people.
Yeah, well, I wasn't convinced.
They can improve, though, can't they?
Yeah, it was his first
just
run.
the
He
age of him,
got
isn't it?
around.
You know, it's not
But
like
I can
his
see
horses.
why they kept him. He was second in Stayers hurdle, so it was sensible to keep him over hurdles. They perhaps just think he's not good enough to win a Stayers hurdle, so we'll go chasing that extra year later.
It's more lucrative to stay hurdling in the
Yeah.
champion division and such, and obviously the other stay as well. From memory, Time Hill, Hobbs wanted to go chasing with him a couple of years ago, and he had a hold up, and I think he was back late that year, and he's like, well, there's no point now.
Bit like Nick
I've
Fabulous.
never really got that. You know? I've never really understood that. It's a bit too late to because we want to retain his novice status for next year. That's always annoyed me, that. Because you get sometimes, I mean, think back to World Chief when he won his Arkle. He'd have 1 run over fences, all right, and he goes and wins an Arkle. And you're running out of time at age. You've got, so what? You know, if you've got a superstar, run them even if there's only 2 races left. You know, you think you can then go up against the big boys. I think McFabulous is a great case in point. You can't talk about his Rising Stars pull-up last time because he's just unfortunate. He's had his problems. But if you don't strike while the iron is hot with, I've never understood it. We're going to save his novice status.
I do understand it.
Well,
From
you
a
would.
trainer's point of view, look at Edwardstone last year, 4 or 5 round novice chases that weren't particularly competitive, no strength and depth. If you happen to win a novice back in March, April, you miss the festivals. You don't get to go in those races.
We've got a horse running tomorrow called Shearer for Max McNeil. He's the big
fab,
back-
isn't he? Yeah.
Very progressive. A lot of people were quoting him for the Albert Bartlett after he won at the October meet. It turns out, of course, he can't run
Not
it.
eligible.
Did I see an interview you did with him,
Yeah.
Max?
Really enjoyed that.
He seems such a nice guy.
Really nice bloke. Would have
Seems
talked,
such a nice
would have
chap.
talked even longer than me.
Yeah, he seems such a nice chap.
Yeah.
Funny, the first time I ever saw him was at Chepstow on Welsh National Day, and the guy I was with, he said, "You watch Max during this race. He just looks at his shoes, doesn't he? Never looks. He watches a race, looking down at his shoes.
He's got
like
a
he's at
very good horse running
Morrissey
on
concert or
Sunday.
something.
One of his, I think, called 3-Card Brag.
Right.
And they think that the world of it. And listen, great for the game. Walk on.
Brilliant.
Mill Chief. Grametti. One of
Yeah.
says, didn't he?
Yeah.
You can still watch that interview. Max talks a lot about sponsorship, of course, the Ultima, what we should do with it, maybe how we should change it a little bit. Well, I don't think we quite see enough of him.
What's his business? What does he make it?
Pharmaceutical, isn't
Is
it?
he pharmaceutical?
No, it might be something. It's something to do with IT. I can't remember exactly what it is. I did look it up. Believe it or not, Ultima Solutions. I can't
But you know,
remember what
sometimes you get those big wealthy owners and they're quite impassive and they don't give much clue that they're really enjoing it. He looks like he absolutely loves it.
He'd
doesn't
be
he? Gets
great
a
on
big
this
buzz
panel
out of it,
of an afternoon. He'd love it. He'd
IT
show his colours.
infrastructure.
IT infrastructure. There
IT
you go. That's where the
infrastructure.
money is.
Yeah. I think he was offered a job doing trading or something in America or something like that, and he said, "No, I'm going to go out on my own." And anyway, so he sponsors at a big race, and he always tries to aim one at it every year. Oh, now look, a friend of the show comes on. It's James Millman today, deputising for Barry. But occasionally we see the drawing pilot that is Mark Horowski. And here we go. He's a right character, Horowski. And he says, "What's happening, legends? Ellison's tonight at Newcastle." He does this. He get his card marked from the Northerns.
Oh, I see. So he's giving us a tip, is he?
He's one of the bright young traders at Betfair, and he's given us a tip. But he does like to tip us. I think he's half joking, but he probably has his card mark. What is it? Will just told me in the gallery what it is. It's 5 o'clock. It's 50-1 Silverload at Newcastle, and he does pull these out, you know, Mark.
Right.
And Ellison is a punting yard as well.
What, there's a 50-1? Sorry, 50-1 shot. We're being tipped a 50-1 shot.
Yeah, Silverload in the 5 o'clock at Newcastle. Hour and a half after we come
Better
off.
get on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worth a five, isn't it? And like I say, quite a good judge. He's going tomorrow. Say hello to Mark if you're out there. He will be back with us next Saturday, the Horowski, the drone pilot, that is. All right, OK, we really ought to get cracking on with this last race, haven't we? We've spoken. And does anyone like the Fav?
No.
You're on a hat trick.
I've laid it. I don't know what the guys have gone with. I've laid that and I've put quid pro quo on the sports book. I saw they were
laying the Fav.
3 places, 13-8. So I'll take that. Quid pro quo, 3 places.
Viewers quaking out there if you're with the Fav because Arch is in.
Even I'm not with it. Barry would be having a heart attack right now.
Your arrows have been deadly, haven't they, today? So
not
you're
bad.
Doing it quite
not
right.
bad.
You've been pulling it. You've been giving it on.
I don't think the
time.
form's that strong. I mean, the winner might be very smart, Champ Kylie, but I wasn't that impressed with the performance.
I'm hoping that Brazil will strongly advertise that form, like I said. But that was a prep run for him, and he needs further without question. He needs a stiffer test. Who Briscoe? I don't know. They're coming in for the ground, James, aren't they? I think, as you said. So, all right, we've all spoken.
6-4 on the sportsbook for 3 places.
There's a range of opinions in this.
Have we all spoken, Dave? I think one member of the panel hasn't yet.
Not tips. Well, no, about the Fav.
Oh, about the Fav. Sorry.
He's busy piling on Silverload.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm on Betfair and I'm laying both the front 2. That's what I'm doing.
I thought you were going to say Silverload.
No, I'm laying both the front 2 because I think they're too short.
You think Hermes Allen is too short?
Yeah, I do. Again, they can both win, and Hermes Allen could be really, really special. But I just can't. I can't put too much faith in that little race at Stratford. Very impressive win, but
350 grand they paid for him after he won his Irish point the second time of asking. I watched that, really wanting to fancy this horse.
Stratford?
Gelino Bello was second to Blazing Cal in this race for Nichols last year. Has Paul won this? Let me just remind one. So no, he's had 6 runners for 2 places. None of the trainers with horses in this race have won it before, by the way. Dan Skelton, 2 places from 4 runners. Gordon Elliott, just the 2 runners. Music Drive, Headgear. I don't know, that October form since I've been a bit disappointed with that one. And Twiston Davies has got a very interesting horse in here. Has had 7 runs in it for just the 3 places. And the market is fascinating here, isn't it? Because surely a collector's item, and we've all been caught, who look like it could be really nice horses this year, should be shorter than they are at the moment. It's like that's so easy to back, aren't they?
James's play slate.
Yeah.
He doesn't like him. That's my
collector's item.
That's my tip.
Oh, I quite like him as well.
I think he's got a chance. I think he's got a really good chance. And again, if you're getting 3 places with some bookmakers, I think that's a good each way. I think you can look at 7 runners and just go, well, it's not an each-way race. But now you do need to check out. And if you go on Racing Post and you go onto the new app or the website and you click on the best price button, not only does it tell you the best price, it tells you all the place terms. So it'll tell you the bookmakers that you can bet 3 places with in a race like this.
Yeah, loving that.
And I think that this is a really good each-way bet. This because I'm not sure that I'm perfectly prepared to believe one of the front 2 is really good and will win, but I'm not sure that the pair will dominate. And even if they do, you've only got to be best of the other 5, you know. So I think collector's item. And I was horrified when James laid him because James is a good judge. But I just thought the run last time was decent. I do take your point. You don't have to go too far down the field before you find some that aren't exactly franking away. But I thought the run was decent, and I think that the form's solid enough. So I'm going to go collector's item each way if you can get 3 places. Who
got beaten on his rules debut by We've All Been Caught. Brilliant name, that, isn't it? We've All Been Caught, right? And he looked like a beast of a horse in the making when he hung all over the place, run really green. It was soft ground when he beat collector's item, which would sway me more towards collector's item. And again, historically in this race, there's a massive tick. I think, is it 6 or 7? Of the last, you've got to have had a run first and foremost. Nothing has won this without a run. 1, just bear with me, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 of the last 10 have come into it with a win next to their name. So you're looking at collector's item. You're looking at this season, Hermes Allen, and you're looking for a getaway Drumley as well. They tick that box. We've all been caught. I think he started off around about 4-1 when they opened up the market. He's really easy to back. He does look like very much a future chaser. Collector's item. I was on the horse that was second to him at Chepstow.
Hugo's Hero, wasn't it?
Hugo's new horse of Nichols, who looked like he had him stone cold going to the lot, and this horse pulled it out the fight, screaming for a longer trip. And he obviously wants the ground, I think, this horse. My worry about him is John Joe's lot will all be in a box over the winning line today. I know exactly where it is, and they love to go for one of their horses. And I'm just surprised that he's not. Maybe they just think this is a soaring glory. Do you know what I mean by that? One for maybe a Betfair Hurdle or something like that. You don't, or I don't know, something like that down the line, maybe a Coral Cup or something like that. I would be fascinated to see what Collector's Item does in this race, because there will be a plan. I wonder whether it's today. I've gone for Hermes Allen, Bruce. Watch that back in your members club. I wanted him to be a bigger, stronger horse. He looks like quite a racy individual. And I know that it was an absolute Mickey Mouse race that he won, but the horse that he beat by 27 yards or whatever, length, sorry, was 7-4 only and had some form going into it. So I don't know.
Could be good, couldn't he?
He could be good.
Could be good, yeah, fair enough. I have done a little bit of form studying here in terms of the form at Kirkistown point to point. And on the 20th of November, when Hermes Allen won his point, the winning time was 13 seconds quicker than the point to point in which Getaway Drumley finished second.
So hence the fact he went for 350
13 seconds is a while, isn't
Alex
it?
Ferguson's got his checkbook out here, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In a big way. We love these colours, don't we? Montmorel tomorrow, of course, for the guys.
What a friend.
What a friend. Who else have they? They've got loads. Sonny Gino goes a big weekend for the guys, isn't it? All right. He went down to the
Cunders
Melbourne
over
Cup,
at one point.
Alec, didn't he?
Did he?
I think so. I saw a
Yeah, he
photo
did.
of
Yeah,
him.
he was
With
there.
Jet
Yeah.
Mason.
Have you done that?
Yes.
Good, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
There'll be people ringing a bell out there because we're talking about Australia. Have you been?
9 years ago, yeah.
Flemington is made for a race goer, isn't it?
Lovely,
Everything is just
lovely.
absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant day. Really
Yeah.
loved that, yeah.
That was
What a
good.
privilege to be at the Melbourne Cup, that was.
Yes, quite. A bucket list for any race goer, I think. All right, we're going down the tips. Collector's item for Bruce, place lay for James. I like Hermes Allen sort of by default, really. This is definitely a race to learn from. None of us like the favourite, that's for sure. You're laying the fav,
Yeah, I don't like the fav.
and the standard setter is quid pro quo.
I think the run last time was too bad to be true in the Persian War. I'm not saying he was, he won a couple of summer novice hurdle events, but I just thought at a bigger price. He's even worth backing if you can get 3 places each way. But I saw the places. He was 6-4, James says, so I think he could run into one. I just thought it was worth taking on the first 2 in the market.
Like it.
Yeah, I'm doing that as well.
All right, okay. And beat Shearer on his bumper debut at Hereford, the aforementioned. Music Drive in here then, okay. I'm being told by our social team that Louis Mikel, who's one of our social teams, has napped We've All Been Caught. And the line I've been given is drifting more than Vin Diesel.
I mean, the front 2 are taking
judge.
out, what?
They're very, very strong
65%. They're
in the
taking out
market.
2/3 of the book, aren't they? So you can lay the pair of them at 2s on, which I'm quite happy to do in a race where the other 5, at least one of them could be very good. That's the theory. It could all go wrong, but you're betting odds against that one of the other 5 wins. So that'll do for me. Actually, James, I'm just looking at number 7 on the screen. Now, he does look a bit tubby to me. Or are you about to say, no,
Hang
he
on.
looks absolutely match
Are you
fit?
all of a sudden learning?
Well, yeah, I am, yeah. What, am I right,
Progressive
James?
Bruce Millington.
Has he got quite a deep chest?
I would say he looks like he might come on for a race. He ran 31 days ago and he had a win around Hereford and a bumper.
Can't see any ribs.
It might just be the way he is. He just carries a bit of condition because he has had 1 run already. But
He's a massive old... they bought him to be a Gold Cup horse. That's all the chat. I mean, Twisters does not muck around with his quotes, does he?
It says
Let's go to
22-1 collectors, aren't it?
no, that's form
right.
2-2-1.
Oh, thank God.
We've had a 30 to 1 about 100 to 30 shot. We've had a 20. I told you it was on the drift. Looks like there's been a little bit of rain at Cheltenham, but then again, we won't be getting
Yeah, it
into the
does.
ground
Been
over there,
a
I don't
shower
know.
or 2.
One social coming up on the screen. Great to have you with us, guys. This afternoon, 2020 comes back on. Music Drive, each way bet to nothing, surely. Would have gone closer at the October
Well,
meeting.
each way
had it
bet's
not
nothing as long
bundled.
as you're getting 3 places. With Betfair, you can get especially just a place market only for 3 places, and Music Drive's 5-4 in that place
Strongly
only.
fancied for a place.
Some of
market.
some of Betfair's sister brands may be offering 3 places. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the favourite when he was caught on camera there, James?
Talking about you, I was actually talking about the wrong one. You are right. We are being as having his first run. He did perhaps carry the conditions. If you are backing a Twist and Davis horse, it might be a bit too much first time.
I am Ken Pitterson. I've got this. I've got this
KP.
game. I've got this game sus now. Show me another one.
He's extremely popular man amongst race guys, you know, Ken Pitterson.
He's brilliant though, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's absolutely great.
You know that I go to Watford and I've got this, you know, a couple of
Yeah, I
tables
know.
around me. They love race goers and they all love Ken. When's Ken
Brilliant.
Pitterson coming to the show? They say?
He's superb.
Yeah.
Have you ever got him on?
No,
Should
we
do.
haven't. Yeah, we should absolutely.
The only trouble is, we'd have to
always
relocate to the
trackside.
paddock, wouldn't we? We'd have to do it live from the paddock.
he did a microscope or something, wouldn't he? You're right, but he's a very good judge.
He's really good, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. All right, okay, 3:30 coming out. It's our final race of the day. Like and subscribe if you like that. Let's get subscriptions up, then you can chat to us all through the weekend. 1:30 kickoff every day. More races for you tomorrow. We'll be going to Lingfield for the Churchill Stakes. Look, there's AP McCoy, because of course this is a JP horse, isn't it? JP has got a fascinating runner on Sunday.
Oh, has he?
Oh, yes.
Nicky Henderson horse.
Yes, it could have gone in the bumper. Yes,
It
and
runs
goes in
over hurdles.
It goes in the Altior race. I haven't seen any. Oh yeah, it's 11-4 fab with some firms called Iberico Lord. Everyone loves a bit of Iberico, don't they?
Who does? Oh, I love a bit of Iberico.
What's your
It's a
Ham.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
You're a foodie. 3:30 on Sunday, and as far as I'm aware, it is expected to go rather close. So very interesting. Good CAP at the track, isn't it? Okay, with Dan
Springmore
Skelton.
Bay was favourite for that, but I watched the race yesterday. Lawrence got beat a couple of days ago, so the form has taken a bit of a knock. So I thought
Eorans.
Eorans.
I thought you were talking about that great filly of John
No.
Dance's. She's back, is she? She's back and she's running around Tulster. So that's a really good race. That'll be our final race on Sunday. Something to look forward to there. The bumper looks quite interesting as ever, but like I say, it's
Are
a
you
long
going? Oh,
time.
you're in here, aren't you?
Yes, thank you for
Oh, what a
having me.
shame you can't.
No,
get down
yeah,
there.
listen, I'd love to. You know with me though.
Get
Bruce,
your tweed on.
Absolutely. Maybe I'll do that. I should have done that today, shouldn't I? Come out as Toad Hall and all that sort of thing. Love a bit of tweed.
Do you?
Yeah, love it. Yeah, yeah, Barber. You know, but I actually went a little bit further to that, and you've got to be careful because it gets a little bit. I mean, Barber would be like a sort of like McDonald's of, you know, just sort of run of the mill sort of meal. I would
really?
imagine it in tweed. Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
What's
Oh,
that?
yeah.
What's the Spenny?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's
If
the?
you go to a point-to-point at some course, especially in the West Country around his way, and you're wearing Barber, you know, boots and stuff, and be like this, you know what?
Do you like Rich Richie's tweed there? That looks decent.
That is
I
not
would imagine
Barber.
that's not cheap. I wouldn't
That
think.
is not at all. No. So you've got to be a little bit careful. I won't tell you what. I spent a jacket on once, but it
No,
was,
go on, please do.
It was quite a lot of money, and I didn't realise it was quite a lot of money because it's one of those sort of like shooting jackets, you know.
With all the
zips.
loads of
Yeah,
pockets,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and when you put your hands in your pockets
That's
like
it.
that,
You can
aren't
do
you?
that.
Look ridiculous.
You
yeah.
absolutely can. I actually stand at a point
yeah.
to point like that.
I bet, yeah.
And he's in front, lads. You know, all that sort of. I love a point to point. So yeah, maybe I'll get out there in the winter, and maybe I'll put it on. Who'd like to see it tomorrow? That coat. It cost enough.
Get some use out of it, Dave.
Yeah, it got a little bit snug actually, but you wouldn't have that because you're svelte.
No, I know.
No, in fact, I'm with three
Never
certain
owned-
individuals annoying you,
never
but you've
owned
got plenty
tweed.
of time for that to change, by the way. But I cling on to expensive clothes. You know what I mean? I don't throw them. I will not.
Is that
My
the-
wife's always
do you
like,
ever
get
have
rid of
some
this,
hope that you're gonna
get
get a
rid of
bit
this.
slimmer
And I'm like, well,
this
maybe
time?
one day my son will wear it or something like that. I just cling on to it. I refuse to get rid of it. Sometimes you'll see me, in a restaurant and I'll be, right. Anyway, we digress. Which I know you love us to do out there. We've got one more to go. Really good work today, guys. There's been doubles on the card. Infuriating Danny Archer. Just say you're going for a ground shift after this, aren't you?
Yeah, there's
you're doing
there's
ducks?
actually not bad racing tonight, to be fair, in the dog world.
Tell us the channel. How can people get involved?
It's Racing Post Ground TV, so keeping it all in
It used to be
sync.
done from here, of course.
Yeah, it did.
They used to chuck us
This
out,
was called
didn't they?
it was one of your things, wasn't it? Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, chuck us right out.
So a quick lemonade at the Bear, or something stronger, and
Afterwards,
then onto it. Yeah, Romford and Oxford tonight. Oxford is a big thing for the sport.
Didn't it
'cause
close Oxford?
that's
No,
come
Yeah, it's
back.
reopened. Yeah, it's
Why
just
is that dog that
reopened.
ran around?
Yeah.
For a sport that's struggling, that's one track that's actually done very well since it's reopened. So
He's a TV superstar, this boy, isn't he? Eh?
He's on a trajectory.
What's the biggest stage you've ever performed on the telly?
Oh,
biggest stage.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
teased it
I've
there.
done there before. I was on Tipstar once. Do you remember that one?
Oh,
here?
Tipstar, yeah.
So I gave a Ben Pauling horse that lost. Lydia interviewed me, but she was very good.
Blimey,
Did you do
yeah.
Tipstar?
You and the bloggers.
Sorry, no, that was the year after the blogger. I got beat by a
lost it,
teacher.
didn't he?
What you 26, Dan?
Yeah, 26.
He's got the world at his feet, hasn't he? Yeah.
It's all there for him.
He'll be doing this
Absolutely. You
show.
stick with us, Sunshine. You'll be absolutely fine.
That's great. I enjoy it. It's a good laugh, and look forward to being back on soon. Good racing this weekend.
And you put up the Derby winner, didn't you? Famously, that was your big thing this year.
Yeah, that comes back that comes back and runs in Ireland next week, I think. Irish greyhound racing is massive compared to.
I used to do the Australians, the Americans.
It's big in Australia still.
At 9/11, I was working for Clive Lawrence, and as it all happened with the Trade Towers, everyone vacated the studio, and me and the guy, I can't remember who it was, and we were doing Phoenix, Arizona greyhounds. Really? And the dogs were just running around the track loose. We couldn't work out why. Everyone had just run, and we were still going on the mic, yeah. So I used to do a bit of that. American grounds, Australian grounds is great down there. We've been to Wentworth Park down in Sydney. That's super.
8-dog racing.
8-dog, absolutely. Yeah, really, really good. Anyway, there we go. All right, back to this.
What about World Cup, very quickly? I won't see you before the World Cup.
Big pull out next Thursday, right?
Oh, yes, Thursday in the Racing Post, yeah. 80 pages. An absolutely unbelible bit of work on it.
Have you done a bit in it?
No, I haven't, no. I just.
Who wins the World Cup?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I think it's wide open. I think England can win it. I think Portugal.
Is the place in Canada going to confuse it slightly? Because certain countries just better at playing at certain times.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think
might win it.
I don't think it'll be a factor. And the climate will be lovely, 23, 22 degrees.
Is that what it is?
Beautiful.
There was all that talk a couple of years ago, wasn't there, of having aircon and all that sort of thing.
Well, that would have been if it had been a summer World Cup.
Yeah, you couldn't have had it.
We've got a good group actually, haven't we? The Welsh are really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be wide open.
You are looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're nearly there now. It's the least I've looked forward to.
Any tournament where they kick a football,
it's the least I've looked forward to a World Cup. That's for sure. It should be in the summer. We should watch it in beer gardens, in t-shirts and shorts. But it's here now. I'm sure we'll start getting.
It's going to be like lockdown, isn't it? Everyone's under those heaters that they have out there and all that sort of stuff.
Come on, Dan. Who wins it?
Right. World Cup.
Who do I think wins? I think we play France in the quarter-final if we win the group and they win their group. I think whoever wins that could win it.
I think we won't, because I think Denmark will win that group, and I think Denmark at 33 is the value.
Is that right?
What about South American teams? Do you like Argentina or Brazil?
Have you been talking to Lango
Too short, aren't they?
Because he'll be absolutely head down.
Yeah. Mark, I've spoke to Mark, and he's got a couple of long shots he likes.
He came on the show. He was great when he did.
Yeah, he's brilliant. So do check out what Mark thinks. I mean, Mark's knowledge of international football is absolutely second to none.
Ridiculous.
I remember he did a show on Talk Sport once, and Stuart Pearce was one of the guests. And at the end of it, the host said to Stuart, he said, "What do you think? Have you enjoyed it?" He goes, "I've enjoyed it." And he said, "I've learnt something." He said, "When I get back into management, this bloke's going to be my first son, because I've never heard knowledge like it."
Really?
Yeah, he did. Absolutely loved him.
The only bet I've had is Ecuador to get through their group. They've got Senegal, Qatar, and the Dutch.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. Up until a couple of days ago, I didn't even know who was in our group, bar Iran.
Yeah.
I knew the Welsh were probably in it, but I didn't know America was. I've really not looked at it at all. So
James, you got any interest?
I don't care.
Don't you?
I really don't care.
Are you one of these racing people who anything outside racing?
No, just tennis, most other sports, Formula 1, but football I'm not particularly.
You said sports.
Sports.
He goes to the pub on a Sunday and wears a tie.
Formula 1's not a sport, it's engineering.
Engineering.
You like Formula 1, do you?
Oh, yeah.
That is an absolute
That'd be my number one
Really?
sport. If I could work in any industry, it would be Formula 1.
Then tennis.
Then tennis.
You like tennis as well, don't you?
Yeah, big
Someone's
tennis,
asking in the chat if you've got a breakout star for 2023 that's not a Czech teenager. What does that mean?
Yeah, a guy
that
called
a
Luca Nardi. He's Italian, and he is a player. But he's just struggled a little bit of late.
Did
yeah, Luca Nardi.
Luca Nardi. That's an easy, wasn't it? Who's calling this? Is it Bruce? Go on.
It's Danny.
Is it? All right, over we go.
Very important, though. Market 3.05 for Briscoe, 3.25 Hermes Allen. The two have been smashed at the top of the market.
Will Paul Nicholls then finally get one over the line in this? He's had 6 tries. Some really good horses have come up against the Irish. Will it be the case again? Will Willie Mullins make it 2 from 2 at Cheltenham this season? We will find out. Will it be one of the big embryonic sorts? We've all been caught, so we don't get caught on the line.
There's a few quid for that, isn't there, James? We've all been caught. That's coming.
Yeah, he's 8.8. The one that's big on the drift is your choice, collector's item, 13.5 now.
All right, they're off and running. Over to Danny Archer.
Conagry, Time Hill, Blazing Cow. Recent winners. Who's going to win the 2022 Renault of the Ballymore Novices Hurdle Trial? Hermes Allen goes into early under Harry Cobden. Nice.
Whoa!
We've all been caught.
We've all been caught.
Sorts of problems in midfield there. Looked like he bumped into Briscoe and quid pro quo. But it's still Hermes Allen who leads as they come to the second.
He made all at Stratford, this chap, didn't he? So I like this.
And market likes him, 2.76.
Winners in front.
Very slick. Sorry, James, go on, 2.77. Anything else?
Hubrisco's out to 3.3, and the rest are all big prices.
But Hermes Allen sets the early pace. Music Drive in second. Hubrisco on the inside for Paul Townend. Fourth for We've All Been Caught. Then Collector's Item and Getaway Drumley, Quid Pro Quo at the back, Dave.
I think that chap's having a sighter for the Coral Cup, I reckon. Quid Pro Quo, you heard it here. I reckon this is an absolute sighter. There's some absolutely fascinating Irish horses coming over this weekend. By the way, Tony Martin's got one tomorrow called Unanswered in the 255 or something like that, or the 330. I think that's our final race tomorrow. It's either a sighter or it's going to win. That's what you get, of course, horses that are looking towards the festival. We've all been caught, Bruce. Walked through that first, didn't he? Has he recovered?
Well, he jinked very sharply to his left, didn't he? And caused a bit of bother to some of the others. But it was early enough in the race that they can probably all settle down and put it behind them, I would imagine.
Hermes Allen still jumping very, very nice head in front. Music Drive in second. We've all been caught on the outside off Hubrisco, your favourite for Rich Ritchie and Willie Mullins. Then
That's the one I don't like,
League.
guys. I mean, I really don't like the way that's going.
He's a bit keen, 3.65 Hubrisco.
Yeah, he is. He's
Finally an ex-jockey saying something's keen. They usually argue with you when you call them
Well,
keen.
you can't argue with that, can you?
Well,
Waggling
it's
his head
definitely
around.
keen.
Yeah. Why would you argue?
No, they always say that's not keen. What are you talking about?
Oh,
Orton?
really?
Yeah.
Collector's Item settled
You've
well
never
for you
ridden.
two.
He's all right. He's not doing bad, is he? He's fine. But, I mean, the winner's going nicely in front. You'd have to say, I mean, it's very confident, isn't it? Stick him out in front and let the others worry about him, which is what they're doing.
I'm just looking at Music Drive, guys. Who have they just changed up the tactics on her slightly?
Although
I think they might
there
be a
no
little bit
mistakes.
more prominent than last time. She got caught tap for toe at the October meeting.
Yeah, she's the only one of the big price horses that's short, and 8.8 in the run is Music Drive in second place.
All right, okay.
Still Hermes Allen out in front by about 3 lengths. In second place is Music Drive. Hubrisco still on the rail. Good to see a packed crowd there on the Friday of the November meeting. On the outside, We've All Been Caught. No real change in the order. Getaway Drumley 5th. Collector's Item for Dave and Bruce in 6th. And Quid Pro Quo at the back.
Does this remind you a little bit of Brave Man's Game, the way he's riding this chap? Just get on with it and give him a breather. And then
A lot of the
quick
rides
kick.
for the Nichols team at the start of the season, they know they're fit. Grenadine, we saw him go from the front in the Holden Gold Cup, and Cobden's very, very confident at the
Can we
moment.
see
riding.
ribs on this? He looks like a racy assault, certainly much more than we've been caught. I mean,
Lovely jumper.
We've all been caught. I think it's been one of the biggest
Collector's
novices I've
Item
seen in the
by
last couple of
mistake.
years.
Collector's Item's done for at the back. But this thing absolutely glides over the hurdles like Archibald. He's a lovely jumper so far. I haven't jinxed him.
I like it. OK, all right, so we're going for it then. All right, then, here we go. 2 lengths off at the moment is, Music Drive.
We've all been caught on the outside in third. Hubrisco still slightly keen, but still in 5th. Getaway Drumley, and then that mistake from Collector's Item, who is in 6th. Quid Pro Quo, Ridden Cole, Bruce.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether that's as part of a plan to see them all and let them go off too quick in front. But I don't think they're going nuts in front, James, are they? Sensible
No, I
enough
think
pace,
Collector's
isn't it?
Item just a little bit on the slow side. He's 95, Quid Pro Quo 18.5. But Harry Skelton is at least travelling very nicely at the back of the field.
All right.
I think we potentially could end up being a little bit too down on the favourite here. I don't want to backtrack too early, but I mean, he's going nicely enough. He's perfectly positioned, isn't he? So, you know, if you've backed him, he's certainly probably no worse off than he was when the tapes lifted.
He's got the experience as well, isn't he? Because it's his 5th run over hurdles as well. Paul Townend right on the inside. This is where they should rev up then, Arch.
Just a slight injection of pace there, definitely from Hermes Allen. Now a length ahead. Music Drive in 2nd. We've All Been Caught remains there in 3rd. Hubrisco on the rail under Townend. 5th for Getaway Drumley and Collector's Item 6th. Quid Pro Quo just nudged along now by Harry Skelton.
He's
the back
revving
3
it.
getting outpaced slightly. Hermes Allen and Music Drive go on as they approach the next. Another good leap from the leader. Hubrisco, though, has come into the rear view mirror and goes very, very nicely for Paul Townend. We've All Been Caught in 4th, then a gap back to Getaway Drumley, Quid Pro Quo, and Collector's Item is beaten.
It's all about the hill now, I suppose. 2 out then, Bruce.
Yeah, and another lovely flicks over it there.
He's odds on now.
Hermes, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Still travelling
He's
very,
just starting
very
to
well.
get. Townsend's just starting to get after the Hubrisco. So turning in, there's 3 that can win it.
Turning in, Hermes Allen goes ahead. Music Drive still in 2nd. Made all so far, Harry Cobden. Hubrisco looks beat.
it's gonna be
Hermes
nice
Allen
horse, this.
continues to pour it on here. In
on
2nd
the
place,
jump.
Music Drive, all on the last.
up.
Pinged it again. Hermes Allen scampers clear a furlong to run. Music Drive in 2nd. We've All Been Caught has rallied again under pressure. Hubrisco looks like he's going to lose 3rd, then a gap back to the rest. But this is a very, very impressive performance. Ferguson, Mason, Hales and Diver could have a nice prospect here.
this is decent
Hermes Allen
now.
bolts up. 2nd
This
place,
is
Music
really
Drive.
nice.
Just, We've All Been Caught in 3rd, but a very, very good performance. Could we have seen a Ballymore winner?
Ooh, there we go. Let us know. We go off after air over this, but I think we'll be talking about it tomorrow on the show. That is for sure. Yeah, Brave Man-esque.
Yeah, it was. It was just massively impressive, wasn't it? 3 of the 4 winners today have been from the front, and that one was given a really confident ride by Cobden. Went out in front and never came back, and the connections are absolutely delighted. You know, when you shell out $3,500 grand for a horse, you want to make sure that it's decent, and he looks decent with a capital D, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's Sonagino, of course, to come in these colours in the Greatwood Hurdle on Sunday as well. You'll be able to get all your quotes from Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls about that winner there. Does this go on? Is this the Cheltenham Hurdle winner? Will it come up short against the Irish? Of course, he got the favourites, just didn't get home at all, did it?
Keen, we mentioned that in the run of a circuit to go, and he didn't see out 2 mile over an island. He really hasn't seen it out over 2.5 up the hill. But the market, as soon as Harry Cobden sent his horse to the front, he never went bigger than 2-1 and just got shorter and shorter as the race wore on. And the British trainers have obviously been saying they've been struggling to buy the best horses go to Ireland, but when you're shelling out $350 at the sales, you've got to deliver, and this looks like a horse potentially for Paul Nicholls that could be one that could figure at the top end. I know Hubrisco wasn't a Willie Mullins hot pot as such, but the fact that he went off favourite does show you that they thought he'd go close, and the fact he's been well beaten, I think it's a good sign for Paul Nicholls and his yard of flying.
And we want Nicholls back, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Not that he's gone anywhere, but what I'm saying, punters love a Nicholls horse, don't they? Do you remember the golden days of Nicholls and Ruby?
Yeah.
And brilliant. So people love it when Nicholls has a hot pot. The punters absolutely latch on every
You'd
time.
imagine they'd be thinking about Challow, because that's the brave man's game route, isn't it? And you maybe think about that. But with this chap,
It's an easy grade one, isn't it?
Third's run really well. We've all been caught.
Yes, he has.
He's the one to take out, I think.
Yeah.
Chaser obviously in the
Massive.
making,
Stayed on well,
obviously, but
didn't
he ran very, very well. The rest all pretty... The collector's item, given how close they were in a bumper, that really disappointing. I know he made the early mistake, but never was travelling.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah, all right, OK. So have we just seen something there, potentially? Have we seen a great show? Yes, we have. I've been Dave Orton. Bruce Millington, great to have you back. We've all had a winner on the board. Happy days.
Yeah, all good. Lovely to be back, Dave. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. We'll hopefully see Bruce back during the winter before we know it. Danny Archer, great to have you back as well, my old son.
Thanks as always, Dave. Good to see you.
And James, we go again tomorrow.
Yes, back again for all 3 days.
1:30. You enjoy your Hyde Park hotel room that Betfair are giving you this
I
evening.
will do, and see you bright and early tomorrow.
All right, great stuff. Great stuff for the guys in the gallery on the social team as well. Join us then, 1:30 tomorrow, Saturday. It's going to sizzle here on RP Live.